Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter, and you're listening to episode 23 of the Third Fleet podcast. Sleep deprived but full bellied with Monster Hunter Rise goodness, here we are at bizarre hours of the day to give you a fun filled podcast discussion about all things Monster Hunter. Rurikhan, how are you, my friend?
I am, like you said, sleep deprived, but still pretty much played Monster Hunter Rise all day and finally put out my insect lave guide. Like I literally just put it out right before this podcast
Stop
because
and go watch it, everyone.
I've been slacking on doing guides because we've had this small little update that came to the game, version 2.0. It just
Oh,
changed,
yeah.
a couple of things. It didn't completely like revamp the whole meta and had me farm all kinds of different sets and basically actually playing the game instead of living in the training room. No, that didn't happen at all. So I was like, man, screw this making guides business. I just want to play the game.
I
It
mean,
was
if you've been
so good.
slacking, then I'm practically retired at this point. I mean, I have not had time to. I'm just living the dream here. Me and Yuna have been. We're still hot and heavy. We're playing this game hardcore. How many hours do you have in? Like on your save that started from release date?
Uh, I don't know. I definitely am above 300 now, but I don't know
Oh
exactly what.
wow.
Because here's the thing, like I don't play any other game on the Switch right now, so
Yeah.
it's like I don't even get to see what the time is because I don't swap games. I just like I log
Yeah.
in and
Yeah.
I'm in Kimura. My Switch is just Kimura City, basically.
So you've booted this game one time. Your average play session is 300 hours. I know.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. It's been
I
pretty
remember
freaking
that. That's what
insane.
it was like in the 3DS when they had the diary. They're like, "You've booted Monster Hunter 4 times. You have a total play time of 1,200 hours." I'm like,
You just don't tend to play anything else when you're playing a Monster Hunter game. So yeah, it's pretty simple. The only other games that I
oh man.
do end up playing is on the PS5. So it's like the Switch is just a permanent Kimura City simulator, and that's where my hunter is, and that's all I do on the Switch right now. But
Man, no complaints there.
You and Yuna still going at it strong. So how what is Yuna playing nowadays? Is she still playing that longsword?
Well, she plays a lot of weapons, just like me, but has been playing a lot of longsword. So her longsword usage has just crossed her bow usage.
How
So
How are her counter timings at this point? Is she like countering stuff left and right, or is she mostly focusing on, just dishing out damage and being out of harm's way instead of jumping into harm's way with counterattacks?
she doesn't do that many counters. She does not use the EI spirit counter at all. On very rare occasions, she'll use the foresight. But for the most
Interesting.
part, she's just using fade slashes to get out of the way, and she's just pummeling at the monster and using that Helmbreaker for that
See,
big damage.
my friend that I got into Monster Hunter Rise is the exact opposite. Like he'll actually go into hunts and not even attack the monster. He'll just counter. He'll just stay there and like he'll be there for like 20 minutes just countering a monster to death. Like that's his objective. He just wants to land every single counter. And it's not even the foresight slash counters either. He just wants to do the IE spirit slash counter.
Yeah,
And it's like, what are you doing? He's like, no, I have to do it with the counters. And I'll see him cart
it
quite a
feels
few
good. I need my
times.
dopamine. I need my dopamine. Leave me alone.
I've seen him die quite a few times because of it, but I think it's a fun little thing to go for. Just go for the counters, boom, go. Okay, have fun. So long as you're having fun, that's all that
We were
matters. And
having a fun conversation the other day because I use longsword as well quite a bit recently. I'll admit it's really fun, but I've been playing it in a very different way where I don't use the Spirit Helmbreaker. I use the Sakura Slash.
yeah,
And I really enjoy that because it's basically whenever you have a wire bug, it's like use it if you got it. You're always in red the entire hunt, and I can focus on just doing lots of spirit combos and just dishing out lots of damage. I love it. It's great. I don't get the huge big numbers, but then again, I was whiffing with most of my spirit helm breakers anyways, which is
yeah, I've
funny because
heard.
Yuna's like, she won't touch the Sakura. She says that there's no glory in it, and
No
then
glory.
and then, and then I was like, well, I like the Sakura because I never miss, and she goes, how boring. She's like, it's because you suck at aiming. I'm like, well, yeah.
No, but I've noticed that as well on the little few times that I've hunted with the longsword because just recently I've hunted with the longsword on my stream and and my stream can confirm this because I was proving the theory that longsword actually has more innate luck than any other weapon in the game. And it was proven 100% beyond the shadow of a doubt because the moment I equipped the longsword, I got 2 gems. Boom, just like that. On Magnum
Sample
Malo, no
size
less.
1. It's the most scientific study you can ask for.
Exactly. But listen, it was 100% because it was like, so I've been playing with my gun lance and I go into the hunt and I'm like, okay, I need gems. And I recently needed a golden orb from Almudron, and I was hunting that thing all day, and only like on my final hunt of the day or whatever, eventually he dropped it. So, and then I'm like, I need Magnum Malo orbs, and I'm like, I have this theory that longsword users and bow users are more lucky than other users, and so I went in there with a longsword, and first hunt, boom, 2 gems.
Nah,
There you go.
I'll tell you, with Yuna using both longsword and bow, she's had much worse luck
Oh,
with gems
poor
than I have.
Yuna.
So,
I've
but she
actually
doesn't care.
I've actually started working today on a set that has the brigade armor set
Oh, nice.
because that has like capture pro, and then if you get the
Yeah.
belt, it's got good luck. So I'm working on a set so that I can play with my gun lance and still have decent luck at getting gems because I think all of the monsters in terms of getting gems are pretty much capturing because capturing is the best way to get gems.
Breaking heads, and carving tails.
Yeah, breaking heads,
Which
carving
reminds
tails, and
me, I
capturing.
have you tried? Because Yuna started it, and then she gave up. Then she got me started on it, and then I gave up because it's just so much of a commitment. But there is a special piece of armor that if you complete all the arena quests with every weapon, you get a headpiece that gives you Carve Master, which allows you to carve 1 extra time, which means you can double carve tails, which is a great way for farming for gems. Like we got through Kuluyaku, which was a pain in the ass. We got through Barroth, which was fine. Barroth was very enjoyable. All the setups there were really fun. Rajang was largely okay. But then there is the quests that are like multiple monsters in actual maps, and we were just like, oh my god, this is gonna take like 4 hours. And I was like, I just don't. Oh, it
Those
just felt overwhelming, and we stopped midway.
those quests, the monsters actually have, from what I can tell, they have significantly reduced HP. It's not like the same values that we're playing with in high rank. At least
Yeah,
it definitely didn't feel like that for the amount of damage that I've done in some of those quests. And it's like I haven't done it, but the reason I haven't done that, like I'll eventually do it, but the reason
yeah,
I haven't done it is because okay, so why would you do this? You would do this to maximize the amount of materials that you get in a hunt. And it's like I'm not even running 2 gathering palicos, which will get you more rewards than using that. So it's like before I would use that, I would first use 2 gathering palicos, and then I would think about getting that helmet or whatever. And there's also capture master. There's a bunch of ways for you to get more rewards.
yeah, yeah,
So I'm not overly concerned with the helmet,
yeah.
but I do want to get it just to have it. It's one of those things I want to have
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
just in case I ever feel like using it. I'll have it, but I'm not going out of my way to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna grind all of this thing at once because I just don't think it's worth it. Like if there was something there that I really really wanted, then sure I would go out and grind it. It's not really a big deal. But beyond that, I'm just like, I don't care. I can get it anytime I want. It's not going to go away.
yeah.
There's no
It'll
like
be a long
limited.
term goal that'll just
Yeah,
when we run out of things to do, it'll be there.
exactly. So right now I'm working on mixed sets and trying out weapons and doing guides and all of this other stuff. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole that is just going to bore me to death. So yeah. But I
Yeah,
but I have started working towards it in a way that, for instance, I said I was working on the brigade set and that requires coins. Whenever I needed a coin, I'd go into the arena and I'd use a different weapon, right? So that I
yeah,
start the process, but I'm
yeah, yeah,
only
yeah.
doing it when I need to, as
When you
opposed to
need to,
going
yeah.
after it.
That's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. But so Yuna is doing longsword. She's mostly going for fate slashes and all of that. What set is she using right now? Is she using like meta set or what's the deal?
Uh, Nothing horribly meta, but I mean, just comfortable. Like she's got a quick sheath level 3 with a 1 or 2 level 1 slots. She got that deco on like really early in the game, and
The
she's been using
charm.
that on everything. It is like, oh yeah, I keep calling them decos. She really likes the quick sheath on longsword and also on the greatsword as well. So that has not come off. And it's just basic stuff, like attack boosting and stuff like that. She doesn't care much for the crit meta in the game. So she will generally go for more comfort skills. So I guess it's like half meta, half not. It's like,
Yeah.
a good amount of attack being stacked, but beyond that, it's nothing to write home about.
I've been experimenting with more meta builds on some of my builds, and I'm just like, it's still kind of hard to like get all of your ducks in a row to really get as many meta
Yeah.
skills as
The
possible.
the one thing she does do meta for both her and me is bow guns. The light bow gun meta builds are just too fun that I'm not going to deny myself the guilty pleasure of the meta sets for those because it is because gunner stuff all stacks really well. So when you get the right lineup of skills, you can really feel the difference, and it's quite enjoyable to just if you want low stress, you just want to abuse some monsters and to make it a little bit like easy mode for a little bit. Go for it.
I find it interesting because I've heard a lot of complaints from people about hit zones being really bad for gunners. And I was like, I don't know.
Slice and ammo go burr.
I don't know. I don't play those weapons, so I can't really comment on it. But I want to say that I hear people talk about that a lot, about how the hit zones aren't very good. And I'm just like, I don't know. Every time I'll go and I'll fight like Apex or Zeros, for instance, I'm like, dude, the hit zones are terrible for me too. So I don't know what you're talking about.
All I know is there is one meta set that's been going crazy around Japan and in the West as well, which is the Zinogre light bowgun. It's
Zin-
got it's got slicing ammo on rapid, and they just added decorations in 2.0 with rapid shot up, which is it increases the damage of your rapid shots, and they even added decos for
God.
spear shot. So what you do is it's like I'm trying to remember. It's like rapid shot up. It's I can't remember all the skills. It's out there, but there is a disgusting, really fun set where all you do is use slice and ammo. And because my self-restricted restriction over the weekend it's over, but everyone's using it on Basil. Everybody,
Oh man.
because you can very comfortably headlock and kill him in just under 2 minutes solo.
I mean, his head hit zone
I'm
is
not doing that.
redonkulous. You
Yeah, so
can
I'm
just
not doing that.
wail on his head and just get like crazy numbers. So if you want to
Yeah,
see
so he
big
just falls over.
numbers,
He just flinches, and you just slice and shot him, and in 1 minute 50 seconds he's gone. And it is a way to earn some lazurite gems. I actually don't want to use that for farming because I do want to feel like I earned all my gems. So I'm not giving into that quite yet, but it is really like I needed to get some Tigrex fangs, and I just was not in the mood for him. So all I did was I placed a trap hole, put my three stickies on the ground. He walked in there and just boop, 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 and I think within 10 seconds it was gone, not even. And then I just left. I'm like, thank you. So like, if you want some really just abusive ways, the light bowgun has got lots of fun cheese.
so does that mean that the light bowgun is even better than the heavy bowgun this time around? Because again, I don't play
I,
guns,
I
so
would say yes, yeah.
interesting.
There's no heavy bow. There's a few heavy bowguns that are really good, especially for like the stickies, just because of clip sizes. And we actually made a few heavy bowguns that are quite good, but light bowgun seems to be like the big thing. The mobility and just the amount of skills that you can tack on in this game.
Yeah,
The light bowguns are really good.
you can definitely stack skills until the cows come home, which is something that we kind of feared. And yeah, right now in the current meta, you can definitely stack stuff. But
Yeah, but
before,
I mean stuff like the Magnum Malo heavy bowgun is really good, and the Puke Puke heavy bowgun remains very very powerful. So there are some really, and I've been quite enjoying the Ragna Kadaki one. So there's you can cook Chameleos in 3 minutes with the Ragna Kadaki one because it's just disgust with the piercing fire. It's disgusting if you build it right. So there are some good choices. So I won't speak badly of the heavy bowgun. It's just not.
three
It doesn't
minutes
feel.
solo.
Uh huh.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I haven't
Jeez.
done that yet, but I've seen tons of videos on it. I've been using it more for a piercing build just because the clip size is so big, and there's like you could just rapid fire. It's like boom, 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 boom. It feels
Yeah.
so good. So,
Yeah,
and
I
the
can tell.
design is so beautiful on the Ride Kadaki heavy bowgun. It's like it feels like there's like 8 prongs, like a spider. It's really cool looking.
There's definitely some really really cool designs on a lot of weapons this time around.
So
Um,
she's been playing basically just to play and have fun. I am on a Lazarite fest. That's all I'm doing is grinding for Lazarite because I'm trying to craft pretty much all the decos, like 3 of all of them, right? Because you can make anything in this game
yep.
with the decorations. It doesn't matter what charm you have. Like, oh, I got weakness exploit level 2 with a level 3 slot. It okay, well I could have any gem with any deco with the right slots and I can have the exact same thing. So it's not a big deal. And so I've made like I'm almost done. I've made 3 critical boost, 3 tenderizer, 3 like everything, razor sharps, 3s of everything. So I'm just but the thing is you need like 8 lazarite gems just to make one of the good ones.
Yeah,
And
like
so
I
like
made a
oh
I
man.
made a handicraft gem today, and I was like, "Damn, son!"
Damn, it's heavy.
And then I made a good luck gem, and I was like, "Damn, my
They go by
Lazarite just
fast.
going down." And I want to
But
make
that's what the
another.
apex hunts are good for.
I want to make another good luck gem so that I have maximum good luck. But yeah,
But I
so
gotta say though, like you were talking about, like the lack of Apex armor being disappointing. Well, it is nice to know that the standalone Apex hunts do have the benefit of paying out Lazarite gems. So they are basically for grinding for decorations, which is
but
awesome.
you can also get those on the elders, and I believe probably basil as well. I would imagine.
Yeah, but it doesn't compare. Like if normally you get like 3, but if you're lucky, you can get 6 or 7 on an Apex.
Damn. I think
Yeah, it's
I think I've gotten 5 at one point.
yeah. I think average is 3 to 5. You can actually get so unlucky. I did an Apex Musicine and I got 0. So it is possible. It's not guaranteed. There is some luck involved. But the other day, I got 30 Lazarites in 4 or 5 hunts. It was ridiculous.
Jesus Christ, that was lucky.
Yeah. So of course, I used them right away. I was like, oh, look, I have 0 now.
But before we move on, you did just mention my boy, my boy Basil Goose, and I've never expressed in the podcast just how happy I am that my boy is back. And dude, listen, can we talk about the fact that not only Capcom brought my favorite monster back, but on top of it, they made his weapon, his armor set, be perfect for my main weapon.
For Gunlance.
Like
Yeah.
that was
It's
just
beautiful.
that was just straight up. Okay, Rurikhan, here you go. Your favorite monster is back, and his armor is custom tailored for Gunlance. I was so happy when I was like, the best part about this is that I made a build video this weekend. I believe it was on Sunday or something. And I put it up. It was my aerial gunlance video that we talked about, the playstyle that I've been doing where I just jump all over the place with Blast Dash. And people were asking me, "Oh wow, your layered armor set looks really good." And I'm like, "What layered armor set? That's the best part. My set just naturally looks that good now. It's insane. Like my character with the basil armor and the Almudron chest, it just looks friggin' gorgeous. It just because the Almudron chest basically looks like Iron Man chest with the big
Yeah,
yellow
yeah.
thing in the middle. And I'm just like, dude, this is perfect. Exactly what I want. So
That reminds me. That's the other thing Yuna's doing, and I think she's doing it right now in the other room. Her goal is to craft every single piece of layer armored in the game.
yeah, of course. Well,
So she's been making a bunch, and we have a video coming up soon. She has 4. She's trying to find her 5th one, but it's gonna be 5 fashion sets from Yuna. It'll be a video of hers. It'll be fun.
I did a fashion set with some pieces of Roggy, Remobra, and the leather set to just basically get myself like a leather jacket, a leather hat, some denim pants, and then I also have like the Remobra belt, which comes with 2 pistols. What else was? Oh yeah, and then I use the leather gloves because the Roggy gloves are a little bit exaggerated. The leather gloves are a little bit more simple, and I'm just like, this is
You
perfect.
you can make a really fun sort of. I don't think your viewers may not appreciate it, but it'd be really funny if you made sort of like a video like, here's my layered armor set, and then you've got the full basil set unlayered, even though you're wearing the full basil set. Let's see. For the head, I have Basil. For the chest, I have Basil. For the arms, I have Basil.
I'm,
It's
I'm
Sector.
thinking I'm thinking what we got to do is we got to put up on one of our discords like a special channel for people to submit their fashion set, and then we
Oh,
would
I do
rate
that. Yeah.
it like on a video or something. I think that would also be interesting. Just
Oh,
have
that'd be
like
fun, and just like give our
a fashion
reactions.
show off. Yeah. We'd look at the images and be like, oh, this one looks good, or oh, this one's terrible. What
That's a
happened?
really good idea for an episode because I do have a channel in my Discord for fashion sets, and some people have some really interesting ones.
Okay, well, there you go. The link to Gaijin's Discord is always on the description of the YouTube videos. And if you're listening to this, it's on the show notes for whatever podcasting platform you listen to this on. Both of our Discords are on there. So go to Gaijin's Discord, submit your fashion set there. And at some point, if we're not too addicted to Rise, we might be like, okay, let's look at those fashion builds and see what happened. I've had
Yeah.
someone tweet at me today after getting the basil set, this person goes and he crafts Renoplos layered armor.
Ah.
And and he makes here he didn't even put like full Renoplos. He just put the parts that make you look the worst. And it's like
That is the ultimate troll.
yeah, he's
I
just
love
like,
it.
I'm so happy about this layered armor, the layered armor being in the game. So here you go. Here's the set that I made. And I'm like, what is this? Like, you've
But
gone and give us the
that's when you know
Gunlancer's curse.
that's the perfect fan. Someone who knows what you like and what you hate and then uses it to playfully jerk at you. That's great.
Exactly.
Oh, that is so funny.
But yeah, Basil Goose being back was amazing. I still don't like the design of his gun lance, though. I think his gun lance design is terrible. Like, I here's the interesting part. I love the parts that make it, but the fact that they put bone on it makes it look terrible. I mean, this is a monster
Yeah.
that basically looks like plate armor, and then his weapon is made out of bone. I don't get it. That was one of the cool
I've been
things.
using his dual blades actually.
I love his dual blades. His dual blades design is awesome. As a matter of fact, dual blades guide is probably the next one that I'm going to do because longsword has to be the last thing I do. So
Yeah.
dual blades is probably going to be the next one that I do. And I already crafted Basil's dual blades because I love the fact it's just two axes
You
with blast.
do realize if you leave the longsword for last, people are going to be like, he's saving the best for last. You can make it. You should make it second last.
No. It's definitely going to be the last because it's going to be a 1 minute video where I just tell people I don't like this weapon. There you go. That's my that's my video.
Well, I actually really like it this time. It's quite enjoyable.
But
But
the
yeah, the two axes is just really great.
I loved it in World and in here I was like, okay, screw it, I'm making it. And did you know that if you put handicraft on that, you get a chunk of white sharpness on that weapon?
Oh yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised because I was actually working on a set to just like get maximum handicraft. And when I put it on that weapon, I was like, Jesus Christ. I don't even
Oh,
think
yeah.
I need razor sharp or anything. It's like, whatever. Just look at all this white sharpness that I have. I don't even care. But
It's really nice.
But here's the interesting thing about Basil's gun lance is that in Iceborne, you remember how they let you basically custom build your own weapons?
Yeah.
Like you could put different parts on different bases of weapons. Like Basil's gun lance actually looks amazing if you put iron stuff on there. Like if you just put in, there was that one design of the gun lance with the axe tip. And then it had
Yeah.
like a shield that's almost like Wonder Woman almost themed in a way. And dude, that thing looked amazing. You look like a superhero with that gun like that. But then they just the gun lance like that. But then they put the bone parts on. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like I can fix this
That's a
weapon.
shame.
Give me the iron bits. It looks so much better. But yeah, and that weapon also does not have maximum shelling. So whatever.
What do you think about Basil's theme this time? I really like it. I like how they did it. It's different.
I prefer that in World, personally.
Mm.
There are some themes that I like here more, but Basil's I actually preferred it in World. I don't know, it's just so ingrained in my head that, you know, I noticed the subtle differences here and there, and I was like, I don't know, I like Worlds better.
Well, his stuff works really good with like the trumpets and like the old like imperial fanfare kind of idea.
Yeah.
But you know what I was finding really interesting? I would love to hear comments on. I know this podcast goes on YouTube, so I would love to hear some comments on there as well. But one of the things I was really curious about, because the way many of us were disappointed with the way he was revealed in the game. I kind of have a feeling, and I've gotten some slight confirmation, but not enough to feel sure about this one. But the idea is that, like, obviously, it feels like stuff in Update 2.0 was originally planned to be in the game, which makes sense because it's just the way they had to split it off. I'm kind of thinking a lot of us had cleared all the village quests, right?
Yes.
Which is why we were greeted with okay, go hunt him. And it was kind of like, dude, why couldn't he disappear during my quest? I am thinking if this wasn't cut out the way it was because of the circumstances, if you are a player who did not clear all the village quests and you were going through Update 2.0, it's quite possible that that's exactly how it would have been revealed.
It is exactly how it happens. I've had several people tell me that.
Okay,
that's how it works. Because some people hadn't reached, like, they hadn't completed all of the quests and stuff, so they were still progressing through the game when 2.0 showed up. And they were organically greeted by Basil in just like a random quest. They're just doing a random quest and like, oh, there's a question mark over here. And then they go there and there's Basil just like hanging out.
So I think the mistake that Capcom made was all they needed to do was not allow him to be in the final village quest, and to more smartly implement the system that if you were to make a armor or decoration and there's a part of a monster you have not met, that it would have question marks. If all they did was that, then it would have been perfect, I think.
Yep, I completely agree.
Well, maybe not perfect, but it would be nice. But so I think
it would be way
the way
better.
they revealed it is not necessarily. It's an unfortunate. Maybe they were already committed to the final village quest, and it was too late for them to change it. But it is interesting to know that it's due to the circumstances that the surprise wasn't as good as it should have been. But it is cool to know that some people got it, and that's nice to know.
But the problem is that those people also said he's not as aggressive as he was in World. Whereas in World, he would always just like show up and start like creating chaos. They said that in a lot of hunts, he just like hangs out. And it's like, if you don't mess with him, he doesn't mess with you. So I feel like they need to crank up Basil Goose's aggression and actually get him to go after the players as the invader that he's supposed to be.
Then again, he hits rather hard. So I mean,
good
for us who were at the end of high rank and we had our fully upgraded sets, it wasn't a big deal. But can you imagine just getting into high rank and then being bombarded? But he'd one hit kill you.
Good. Sounds like fun. A lot of us are saying, "Hey, man, game's not hard enough." And it's like, "Oh, really?" Dead.
I mean, it's still not a hard game, but I do feel, and I think everyone's consensus now is that they seem to have tweaked at least the values on the final HR quests. They feel significantly like they have a little bit more punch than the normal ones.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough to say that the game is hard or anything, but enough to feel satisfying, I think.
You're talking about the Utsuchi challenges, right?
Or just any of the HR7s in general. They feel pretty punchy, which is good.
Yeah, I think that's good too. Like
Urzuros
in particular, like he still surprises me sometimes with his moveset. Friggin' Apex Urzuros swiping around.
And you're like, okay, 4 times he's done. Nope, he's got a 5th one. It's like, damn it.
Yeah,
and he covers so much ground too.
It is insane.
Oh man,
and
he's got evade extender on. I swear.
And I love the one of his animations I particularly love because it reminds me of Rocky Balboa, because he puts out his left arm and he starts like charging towards it, and then he just like gives you the left ball, like boom,
the hook,
which was kind of like the same style that Rocky did in the Rocky movies. So I'm just like, oh man, I wonder if that's a reference even, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I like that.
Oh, that's funny.
And he
I love the fact
you.
that Apex monsters he stuns you like crazy.
Yeah.
And he can juggle kill you. So if you don't have a bug for Wirefall, when he hits you up, you got to get out of the way. Otherwise, he's just like whoop.
It's funny because I've had a couple of situations where I'm like, I'm going to wait a little bit before I bug, and then he's just like, pow, done. I was like, damn.
He's like, show you, Giki.
Pretty much messes you up super fast. But
I also like the fact that the Apex, you can't use traps on them, which a lot of people still have not figured out, which is funny. It always makes me giggle when someone is
Oh,
standing behind a trap, like, "Come on, everybody, come here."
oh, you should have seen what I did. My friend that I got into Rise, so
Did you tell him to trap?
he doesn't know about Elder Dragons.
Oh no.
So we're fighting Teostra, and it's like he carded once, and I think I carded once as well because it was really late in the night, and he was drunk on top of it. But we were
Nice.
fighting Teostra, and here's the thing, though, he's influenced by me. So I was telling him, "Oh man, we carded twice. We should think about capturing."
Oh,
And
you are such an ass.
no, but here's the thing. When I suggest that, he's like, "Nah, it's fine. Let's kill him. I don't care." And I was like, "Well, but I could use a Teostra gem. Maybe we should." So
You're
I gave
so
him,
bad.
I gave him that extra nudge. He goes,
And he tried it.
He tried it. It was funny seeing him go there, and he puts the trap down, and nothing happens. But he instantly goes and he throws two trank bombs down, and when nothing happens, he just smacks Teostra in the head, and Teostra gets up and he's like, "Is the trap not working? What's going on?"
I think my game. I think my game's. I think this is the bug.
And I was like, "No, it doesn't work. You can't do that to Elder Dragons."
He's
I'm
like,
also-
you ass.
I'm also not. I'm never going to tell him about Gipsros if I ever get him to play one of the older games. So he fight.
He's dead. Go carve him. Go
Yeah,
carve,
yeah.
carve, carve.
Go carve. It's fine. It's perfectly safe. I swear.
Oh man,
I mean, those are rituals of passage. You know, it is what it
they
is.
are. It's fun hazing, right?
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that the Apex monsters, one, you can't trap them. You can't mount them either. They'll
No,
hit
they'll
a
do the
little
animation, but
they'll
yeah.
get right out of it. And the thing is when they're really hard at first until you get used to it to beat them with another monster because they don't flinch normally. So when you hit him with like an Anjanath, Arzuros don't even flinch. He doesn't care. Now once you get your bar up into the mounted finisher, they'll start flinching and falling over. But until then, man, they can really mess you up.
I've never really noticed that.
Yeah, they don't react at all to the first hit. So, like, if they're in the middle of an animation, you ain't stopping them. He's gonna smack your monster around. It's fun. I like
That's
the
fine.
little differences.
We have so much time on the bar. Usually, there's enough time for you to run all over the map and do stuff. So
Yeah,
it's not really a big deal.
but I
but-
really enjoy the apex hunts in the normal
While we're
areas. I wish there was more, but the three of them are really fun.
While we're on that topic, I did receive a question I asked. I put a YouTube post out before we started this, asking people to submit any topic they'd like us to cover. And one of the things that some of them asked was, "What were our favorite Apex monsters?"
I'll let you go first.
I mean, but I think they meant specifically with the new Apex quest. So there's only like 3. I think I like Urzuros. I think Urzuros is a pretty fun fight and still decently challenging. Because like a lot of people told me about Mizu, and they were like, "Oh my god, Mizu is insane. The challenge is crazy." And the first time I fought him, I just beat his face and no problems
say,
whatsoever.
Misa's a really fun one and probably my favorite, but it still has a very soft head, so you can pretty much knock it over 80% of the fight if you're really aggressive. If you're not, oh man, that fight can get pretty hectic fast because those blast bubbles are basically traps for wirefall. If you get hit with a wirefall and you try to get out of the way, you're going to hit one of those blast bubbles, you're dead.
It's been fun like navigating those blast bubbles with blast dash. Go left, go right.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm flying a jet plane in there trying to go after Mizu.
But
That's
all
pretty
three
fun.
feel very distinctly different. So I got to say I like them all for different reasons.
I'm not a huge
Ours
fan
is
of the
because
Rathian.
it's just-
Rathian is
oh,
very
really?
annoying. Yeah, she's very annoying for Gunlance. At least for my current playstyle of flying into the air, because she's spamming her aerial stuff all the time, and I'm just like, God, can you stop?
Yeah, but all you need is go put on your sword and shield, man. She is a prime target for doing lots of Mitsu Shoryugekis. Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
I bet she is.
Knock her out, it feels fun.
But
I
at
like
this,
her because she stays very close to the same areas. So it starts to become very predictable. Like you know where she's gonna go. And it becomes kind of a dance at that point, and you kind of get the rhythm going. So that's always fun.
But at the same time, I like when she's in the air and I dunk her because I do a lot of dunking with my Gunlance playstyle. Because like you just jump in and then I just start aerial shelling, bam, 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 bam. It's like there's high probability of getting a dunk from doing that stuff. So I have a blast with that.
What's interesting is me and Yuna did a video with some tips for new hunters, just some things that we noticed people don't use at all. And one of the things I said in there, which seems to be a little debated, was, flashbangs on occasion can really help keep a monster locked down. That is particularly true for Apex Mizutsune because the head is so soft that all it takes is one flashbang every now and then to stop it for a few seconds, and you're going to knock it over because its
Yeah.
head is so soft. But I did notice that if you use flashbangs on Apex Rathian, she becomes quite harder.
Interesting.
she becomes quite unpredictable, and she just starts spinning like crazy, like she's just gone insane, and so her head becomes a very hard target. And so I do agree with everybody that it's not necessarily good on all monsters, but for some it could be really nice.
I just haven't been using flash pods at all because we now have the means to chase after the monsters. Like I can take
Yeah,
the fight
you're
to
all
them.
good.
So it's like I don't need that. I don't need those openings. I can make my openings now that I can get to the monsters. It's not a problem anymore. In world, it would be a problem not having flash because when they go into the air, you're just like, well, what do I do now? I guess I just sit here, look at you.
Yeah.
but but now that I have the means to get there, I don't care. It's like whatever. I'll chase you into the air. I don't care. It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, I also like using flashes when I'm solo hunting with my raging claws, the dual blades, because I have protected power, so it just takes one sharpened shing, and I'm all good. So if all I had to do is just throw one flashbang, that's more than enough time for me to sharpen.
And my main Palico also has a flash bomb bay, so there's that as well.
And they got better aim than most hunters. Those guys know how to
Dude,
aim.
they nail like it's not like GU at all. In GU they would miss those flashes all the time. And now no dice. You know which
Too bad the Palicos didn't get the memo about trying to trap Apex or Elder Dragons, though. They still laid traps like
they
idiots.
do?
I've noticed it, yeah.
I haven't really noticed it, but my you know what my main Palico is right now, and I'm so happy. It's a
What?
bombardier.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
it's
saw,
so much fun.
I've seen some really funny clips, yeah.
Yeah, they have this tendency, at least mine does, of like putting down a mine and then grabbing his barrel for a big like just like a big explosion at the same time. You got one of those on Kushal. I put the clip out on Twitter. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
I saw
He
that.
just,
That was funny.
he's just like he just chose violence. Like, no, die, Kushala, just die. I'm done with you. That was funny as hell. I love that. So I wanted to bring up the topic of elemental damage. Have you been experimenting with it at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Especially with some of the bow guns and the bows especially, yeah.
So, what do you think of elemental damage in Rise currently? Do you think it's better than World, worse than World? Where do you think we're at?
I think there's two ways that you have to split it up, the argument. One is the meta, and one is just in general. I think, and again, I'm not a speedrunner by any means, so I could be speaking wrong here, so correct me if I'm wrong. But it seems that the general consensus from speedrunners or people who are going for maximum DPS is that the elemental does not scale as well as raw does in this game.
Yeah.
So raw seems to be, if you want to inch the best amount, a little bit of damage out of everything, it seems to be superior. But then again, this is speedrunning, so like
Yeah.
it's a very specific field that 99% of us are not doing. Shaving 30 seconds from your hunt is not going to make a huge difference for all of us. However, I actually find elemental quite enjoyable. I do feel that some of the skills, like critical element, I think no
Yeah.
one is even touching it, and
That's
that's
the thing.
disappointing.
That's the thing that I wanted to talk to you about because just today I made a critical element build and I think it's trash.
Yeah, it's unfortunately not that good. And what's more unfortunate is usually Monster Hunter games have what we call like the dual elemental boost, which is you do like your level 5 for your elemental one, and then there was the elemental boost, the more generic one, which just raised it by like what 10%, and you'd mix both of them together. They took that skill out, so now it's just basically you gem in for that one element, and that's it. That being said, like I said, you take that Ragna Kadaki, you put fire level 5, and you go to a Chameleos, and you tell me that elemental damage is not powerful, and I will
Yeah,
laugh at you because that thing
it'll
is just, it'll cook it.
it'll deal damage. The thing that bothers me is that it was the same thing in World, which is like it's never the best option. So it's like optimizing for a specific monster is never the best option. You should just like no, just take raw. Just take raw and crit.
I don't necessarily agree when it comes to bow. The elemental bows are really powerful. I
I,
think it's because this game, more than probably I've noticed in past ones, you are really bow is all about aiming for the head, so it's actually it's quite hard. But if you hit the head, man, you can do some really big damage if you're using the right element.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know about bows because I'm not playing bows
That
at the
and
moment. So
the rampage bow in this game is just way too good. It is. There's always one bow in every Monster Hunter that's way better than the rest, and for this one, it's rampage bow. It beats every bow like hands down.
I'm
So
surprised
it's
that
got the kind.
I'm surprised that the rampage bow would be the one that's like super powerful because like when it comes to the gun lance, the rampage gun lance is definitely never something that I'm like, oh yeah, I should totally make more rampage gun lances. I have it to just
Yeah,
have
dual blades
dragon
are good as
element.
well, actually.
The only reason I have the rampage gun lance is that I can put dragon element on it and have a long shelling dragon gun lance because there's none of those. But I've been using elemental damage on my gun lances as well, but I'm not going
Out
out
of
of
your
my
way.
way to get more elemental damage. I just like, okay, I want to see if there's a gun lance that I would use that has the appropriate element to fight against this monster. And like I said in the last episode, I do feel like I'm getting more flinches because of the fact that I have the element, rather than like if I was to use something like Howitzer that doesn't have an element. Even
I kind of want to test that. That's a really good idea to test. I'm really curious about that.
like I think we get more flinches with elemental, but in terms of actual damage, I'm just like, it doesn't. I don't think it's significant enough, particularly after I did
There's
my
just not
build.
enough skills to scale it, you know? Like all the skills scale raw, like agitator or
Yeah,
critical boost, weakness exploit. Like you can do a critical hit. It doesn't mean anything for elemental damage. So I think outside of gunners, I and dual blades and perhaps insight glaive, it's 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 nice, but it's not the best.
yeah,
Probably.
which is
I haven't tried Sword and Shield though. I don't know how that
yeah,
maybe it still works good.
that's what I made today. It was sword and shield, critical element, fire, all of that stuff. And then I go against it was actually I think against Apex or Zeros, but then again his hit zones are not amazing. But still it doesn't feel nearly
Mm,
as powerful as a raw build. So it feels like it's something nice to have on top of your regular damage. So if you happen to have a weapon that has good raw and a certain element on top, that's good. But like actually going for the element and min maxing the elemental
yeah.
damage, I definitely don't think it's worth it for most
Yeah, so
weapons.
I think for that reason, I think the Kushala weapons are generally kind of lackluster this time
Yeah,
because I think they gave them pretty good. They gave them decent element, very decent, but the raw is just a little too low to keep it competitive. So they look really cool though.
I
It's
still
just
use it because at least that one, to make up for the fact that it's raw, is not great. They gave it max shelling, so I'm like, okay, at least you have max shelling, so
yeah,
we can work with this.
and the Kushala soul is really good. So I mean that's 20 whatever we talked about that before. It's like 20%
25% affinity.
immediate affinity permanent, and then if you hit off and it goes up to 35, so that's nice. But yeah, I would agree with you in general, except for bow. I quite enjoy using elemental bows. They seem to do a significant amount more damage. Maybe that's just because there's not one bow that has a crap load of raw and bad element, and that's why.
Yeah, I
But
don't know, but
I
it
would have
was
liked to see it be a little bit stronger. I think if they just added in that skill and the elemental attack up, which adds another base 10% up, I think that would help out a lot.
I don't. The thing is, I don't think that elemental meta should be about crit. I think it should be about something else. I think
Oh
an
yeah, yeah.
interesting suggestion that we had from the community was the potential for elemental builds actually getting elemental blights on monsters. Now that I think is interesting, right? So like if you got a frost build,
Yeah.
you could get the elemental, because now we have the elemental blights on monsters from the, using the balls and whatever.
Yeah.
So if we could do that, that would be interesting. And we wouldn't have to go for just crit meta. It could be something else. It could be triggering blights. It could be a different effect, some other thing that does it that is not just about, because what is critical element? Critical element is when you crit, you deal more elemental damage. So it's all about crit meta. And at that point, you're like, well, if I'm critting anyway, why wouldn't I just get critical boost? And boom, done. Because raw scales way
you
better.
You can't get 15-20% increase. You just don't get that with elementals. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but hopefully, for the expansion, hopefully they come up with some idea to make elemental even better. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and it's
I will say though, elemental defense on your armor though makes a huge difference. Man, you go up to, you
that it
slot in
does.
like 3 fire resistance and you go into Teostra, he becomes a little kitty cat.
Teostra's not even that hard to begin with. I love the new Teostra. New Teostra is so much fun. I love the way
Yes.
that they've changed them, and now you can actually clearly see exactly where things are and where the
Yeah.
explosions are going to happen.
It's fun.
Yeah, he's really fun. So, on top of the elemental damage, another thing that I was experimenting with earlier this week was poison damage, because we now have the Chameleos weapons. And when I was working on my insect glaive set, I was like, okay, I want to use the Chameleos one because it looks really cool. It's got that weird like Chameleos soul effect and whatnot. I want to get all of those things and just like make a set all about poison damage. It's terrible. It's just not good. It doesn't make up for the fact that the weapon's raw damage is not that great. And the amount of poison damage that it deals is, at least to me, it didn't feel that impactful in the fight. So I was like,
That's another one where I think if the weapon has really good raw to begin with, it's a great bonus on top of it. For example,
yeah.
the switch axe. The switch axe for I think it's Narga has a poison file. Poison files build up to amp gauge so fast. It's just like you are always in amp state. It's just ridiculous. And so the extra poison is just icing on the cake. But in general, and I do love my Chameleos Insect Glaive, especially against Kushada. It looks great. It's got good raw to begin with, and it's got a good Kinsect level. So it's the poison is just icing on the cake. It's not. It's like elemental. It's not the main reason why you use that weapon.
See, that's the thing. I was doing that weapon, and I was like, oh, I really want to build into this theme of poison. So I'm like, I'm getting friggin', I think it's 3 pieces of Chameleos or whatever to expand the time the poison is in there. And and getting 3 poison attack and doing all of these things and trying to mix and match it in a way that it actually becomes a workable set. And then I get to the hunt and I'm like, wow, I'm hitting for nothing.
I wish that
for
they
literally nothing.
At least I wish they would not have made poison attack a level 2 deco. I think they made it. They should.
No,
it
it's
should have been
level
a level
1.
1.
Poison is level
Is
1.
it?
Yeah. Poison is
I might be thinking
it's
of
the only
paralysis
one.
then.
Yeah, you're thinking of paralysis and blast.
And
Those are level
blast,
2.
yeah.
But
At least
poison is
blast we
just
got the
level
jelly
1.
chest. So
Yeah.
blast is still fun though.
Blast is definitely fun. I'm experimenting with Teostra's Soul and Teostra's
Yeah, it's
Blessing
nice.
and all of this stuff. To just like I did a sword and shield build, and it's really, really good. Feels really good to just get like those blast procs.
Go make the
constantly.
Magnamalo dual blades. Oh my god, those are fun.
Oh, dude, I actually did a set with, and I need to start uploading some of these sets, but I did do a set with Bubbly Dance, Hellfire, Resuscitate, and Magnamalo Soul.
Oh wow,
It's like,
that's funny.
boom, put everything on there. And I think on top of that, I even put 5 agitators as well. Like it fit all of that into one set. And I was like, dude, this is great.
That is funny.
It is just like stacking all of those little fun builds and whatnot. And it does work with Sword and Shield because when you do the fall, what's it called? Falling Shadow, it will drop the little
Yeah.
the orb thing
Oh,
from
right on top of the
Magnamalo.
monster.
So yeah, it's perfect. Like you'll do that right in the monster's face, boom, instantly trigger it down. The first time you do
I'm
it, always
so-
100% down.
I'm addicted to Sword and Shield right now. It is.
You've been
it's
playing Sword and Shield?
basically- Oh yeah, it's basically a shield now. I'm barely used the sword. The bash and the hard bash combo with the Mitsu Shoryugeki, I'm basically just hitting people with the shield 90% of the hunt. And it is so much powerful than I thought it would be. Like it's basically a mobile hammer. Like
Yeah,
it's hammer. It's like it's the light hammer, I'll call it. It is so much fun, so powerful. Like you do that hard bash combo, you KO everything, and then you can do the spinning reaper right afterwards.
yep.
It's just like I'm in love. It's and so I made the high ninja sword just like everyone else is using. It is so comfortable. It is so fun.
I don't like that sword.
I can't deny it.
I'll tell you right now, I
I
don't
know
like that
because it
sword.
doesn't have it. You're punching the monster. It's kind
No,
of
there's no
nice.
shield. There's no shield. No shield. No buy.
No go. But yeah, I've been
I
enjoying
actually
the
made
sword
a
shield.
set. I made a set for it with like bludgeoner and whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It works okay. Like you can get some decent numbers out of it, so it's fun. But I still think of the sword and shield as a weapon that I kind of like having an element on. So it just kind of like
Mm,
turns me off a little bit, the fact that that thing doesn't have an element, but you can definitely
yeah.
get some sweet numbers out of it. I find it interesting that you're
Inamiya.
playing the hard bash combo though, because I've pretty much just
Oh
I've
yeah.
gone the drill combo and I never looked back. I love that one.
Oh, I. They're both really good. I do use the drill combo on the Teostra sword and shield, which I made because I always love that weapon,
Yep.
even back from like 4 Ultimate. It looks so cool,
That
and
weapon
being able
looks
to get those
amazing.
extra blasts is really nice. So that I'll use. But yeah, those are the. I think that and the Rathian sword and shield for poison I really enjoy. It looks really nice as well.
I don't like the
Does
look
very
of
decent.
the Rathian sword and shield, the rapier
No,
look. I'm like, no, that's too
yeah,
frail.
yeah.
The Rathalos one is the one for me. Uh,
The big chunky
I want
slicey just came out of the forge.
I'm super curious to see if they're gonna add the Corona version.
Yeah, I don't think they. I think they'll rename it.
Yeah, probably because right now all we have is the Jin, which is the version that's got like the two little
Yeah,
spikes on top. But I like the Corona. The Corona version of the sword is
you
the
like
one
the
that I like.
Corona.
It's like- So-
Wait, is the fact that you even said that word, is that going to strike this video from ads?
no, I don't think so. I doubt it,
Yeah,
dude. You
we're talking about Monster Hunter.
YouTube doesn't have the time to like parse through 2 hour videos or 3 hour
Oh
videos.
man, the other day I made a video, the tip video, and I said something like you'll be smacking, by time you mount the monster and you knock him over, your teammates will have gotten to the area, and then you can all enjoy smacking the living heck out of the elder dragon. That sentence alone must have been what flagged it,
Oh my
because during
god.
the automatic checks it flagged it for not appropriate. I said, "What, smacking the living heck, is that too much?" And so I edited just that sentence out and I re-uploaded it and it was totally fine.
Oh my god, dude.
So you cannot sound aggressive in your videos
See,
if you want to be ad
look,
suitable.
look at what you did. You just said smacking the other dragon again.
Oh shoot! No, 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 no! Edit that out or beep it out if you.
No, dude, I ain't doing nothing. YouTube's gonna
Oh
eat it
no!
and they're gonna love it. Smacking elder
Uh,
dragons left, right, and center.
oh my gosh!
But yeah, Sword and Shield is indeed extremely fun. I love this iteration of Sword and Shield, and you can do a lot of fun things both with Shoryugeki and even with Windmill, because you can also get a lot of blast procs out of using Windmill, because Windmill's a
Yeah,
lot of
windmill's fun.
attacks. Yeah,
Is what I use on my Teostra Sword and Shield as well. Actually,
yeah, exactly to get those procs.
yeah. So that's what I've been enjoying though. Is I make two major sets for each weapon, where one uses primarily one specific suite of switch skills, and the other one uses the exact opposite. So I
Mm.
get two completely different play styles, and it's been very interesting actually. So it feels like I have 28 weapons to choose from usually before I go on a hunt, which is nice. I've been enjoying that quite a bit.
That is very very good. So, how do you feel about the blessing system that we got for the Elder Dragons? Not just the Elder Dragons, like we also have the blessing from, I don't know if it's called Magnamalo's blessing. It's just, no, it's Hellfire Cloak. That's what they
Soul.
called it.
Do
Hellfire Cloak. How do you feel
you
about
mean the
that
blessing
system?
for the weapons or the armor? Which ones?
The armor, the blessing, because on the weapons it's the soul. On the armor, it's the blessing. Teostra's blessing, Kushala's blessing, Camilleo's blessing, all of that stuff. Because basically, we still have tier sets, but it is a four-piece skill that you get from that specific set. And every one of the and it's interesting because it's not like in World, you would have like, okay, you want Master's Touch, wear 3 pieces of Teostra. And here it's like,
Yeah.
no, you get 1 piece of the blessing, you get like 5% fire and blast. You get 2 pieces, 10% fire and blast, so on and so forth. How do you feel about
I
the way
like
that
it.
they did it?
It feels far more balanced. Because the blessings are all very interesting, but they're not OP. So they're definitely not destroying the meta. You don't necessarily. There's nothing wrong with just using 1 piece of Teostra.
Yeah.
However, it is nice that the most important part of those things seem to be the level 2. So they're not forcing you to use the full set. So like 2 pieces of Teostra Blessing is great for a blast weapon.
Mhm.
And it's quite fun. But they're just not that OP, which is great. So they're just a nice bonus that makes them feel a little bit more special than the regular monsters because they're the elders. They were smart enough not to include the headpiece because I think they knew that bow users are going to want to use that arena piece for the bow level up. So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm happy that it's not too strong because I thought it was a little unfortunate. I was not a big fan of how they did the layered armor or the full armor set bonuses in World. So, and the fact that none of them are make or break. It's just on top of what you can normally gem in anyways. I like. How about you? What do you think of them?
Yeah, I
You
think
wish they
that
were more powerful, or
not really. Quite the not even the opposite. I think they're in a pretty good spot. Like I've been thinking a lot about it, particularly after our last conversation where I was like, Master's Touch. But it's like when you start making sets around it, you realize that like, man, slotting in for Master's Touch is actually a bit of a pain. And to top it
it's
off,
expensive?
it's not even 100% anymore. It's
Yeah. So like people
80%. So
people keep asking me why I'm not using Master's Touch on my Helion Blade Raging Claws dual blades because it just doesn't last. Because that thing eats through double sharpness. That's one of the downfalls of the Helion mode. And then you only get 80% proc on Master's Touch. It's hard to slot in because it's level 2, which means I can't even get all the skills that I can get normally if I use Protective Polish and Speed Sharpening. And before I run out of my stamina the first time, I'm already down to blue. It'll proc itself down in no time. I would have to have tons of handicraft on there to make up for it. So I'm not a huge fan. However, I do use Master's Touch on the Narga insect glaive. I do have a crit build for that, which is quite nice because that has a lot of white anyways, and it goes a long way, but it's not permanent. Like you're not going to have permanent white. But yeah, level 2 slots are at a premium, so there's a lot of really good skills that it's competing with.
yep, very much so. I actually don't even think that a lot of people are actually going to be using Master's Touch now that I've been, messing with some more meta sets and trying to
I'm happy.
actually
I think
min-max
80%
it.
is the perfect number to balance it. It's still useful, but it's not broken.
Yeah, it basically becomes a comfort skill. Like if you just want to have it, don't have to sharpen as much. I
Yeah,
still tend to default more towards razor sharp, but then again, I play
because
gunlance.
it's guaranteed.
But
We
it's
say
not.
guaranteed, but even that's actually it's still a roll. You don't actually know.
Yeah,
It's more consistent.
it's a 50% chance of not consuming it. But the thing is, Master's Touch doesn't actually work for shells. At least I haven't really tested in Rise, but it never really worked, and it doesn't make sense that it would because shells can't
Yeah,
crit. So it's like I'm
yeah,
just like, well, razor sharp it is for me, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the one that I tend to stick with. But yeah, I do think that the game is in a good spot with the blessing system. They didn't go too overboard while still making things somewhat interesting, with the exception of potentially Chameleos. Like I feel poison damage is too weak to justify forcing 3 pieces of Chameleos on you.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I'm actually curious. So if you guys have some feedback on that poison stuff, we've been experimenting with the Chameleos 3-piece. But I just think it's like we've been discussing, I think it's a good thing to have on top of the usual stuff that you have on your build, as opposed to actually specifically building for it, which is what I wanted to do. I'm like, no, I want to just
You know what they
theme
need
my
to
whole
do?
build
They need
around
to
it.
make it so that if you have level 3 poison attack, it becomes venom and it does more damage. It
Yeah.
becomes literally like the Rathian. That would be cool.
I think so too. That I kind of expected something like that almost. I'm like, can this power up my venom a little bit more? Can it become like a little bit more powerful? But it's like, no, it's just the
No.
same 10 ticks and just lasts longer. So whatever.
I gotta say though, overall, I'm really happy with the balance of the armor system this time. There's so many different options as we were talking before. There doesn't seem to be like the one set that's just OP as hell. The mix sets, there's great variety. I mean, I'm still using. There's still uses for Hunter S legs and stuff, or Kuluyaku chest and Luderoth legs, and just like it's really interesting. And you can buff the armor up high enough that it's still usable at the end game. So like, there's a lot of really good options out there.
Yeah,
And I think that
I thought it was interesting that just today I think I'm using the Uruktor chest piece or something like that because it comes with like 3 fire
yeah,
attack for my fire build. I was
but
like, well,
nothing beats
I'm
that
really
bike
using
chest
this.
though.
Oh, dude, Vike chest.
Oh my god, that is the MVP of this entire game so far.
So many friggin'
Level
slots.
3,
But
level 2, level 1 slot, and no skills. That's all it is. It's
but
perfect.
you basically have one of those pieces for everything except
Yeah,
helmets, I think. Helmets is the one that you don't have. I don't
yeah.
think you have
So
something similar. So it's like you have the Arzuros legs, which do exactly the same thing. You have the Chrome belt, I think, which does the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
And you have the
The chrome metal
Jura
one.
gloves. I think it's Jura's
Yep.
gloves that do it for the gloves.
So remember I was telling you about that meta lipo gun set with the Zenogre, with the slicing ammo. It uses it's
All of
pure deco.
those.
It's pure deco. So it's really hard to make because you need like 50 lazarites or something. But it's pure deco. It doesn't even give a crap about the armor. It's just using the
Someone
ones with
was
lots
just
of
like,
slots.
I don't want to be, I don't want to conform to your armor norms, Monster Hunter. I'm just gonna make my own
Make
armor
my own.
set.
But the option is there, which is awesome because it's not easy to make decorations this time. It is the grocery list I wanted it to be, and it feels quite satisfying when you get enough pieces to make that one deco. It feels really good.
It's a good chase. It's a very good chase. So I think they definitely did a good job with that. It's much more, and I think that the RNG aspect of it is a lot better because I've had this discussion on my stream. Some people were like, "Oh, I preferred decos because I prefer the RNG of decos," and it's like to me the way that they've done RNG now is much more interesting because whereas before you were chasing after the RNG, you were going after the tempered quests to get decorations, and it's all RNG. So you engaging in the RNG was an active part of your gameplay. This time
Yeah,
around, it's the other way around. The RNG is a passive part of your gameplay because you go in there, you put parts into the slot machine, you pray to God, and then you go hunt stuff. But the things you are hunting, they're targeted. You're
yeah,
going towards a goal. You're not just hunting random things in the vain hope of eventually getting a random decoration. You're like, no, I'm hunting for this thing. And that's what I always want to have for Monster Hunter. So to me, this
yeah.
change, this is the way they got to keep on going. Like, I hope that they don't make the mistake of something like, oh, here's a Kultaroth like hunt, by the way. And I'm like, no, you do this. Never again. I never want to see anything like that again. I want to constantly know what I'm aiming for, or it could be just for to have fun. Like sometimes I just hunt to have fun. I don't necessarily hunt always to aim
Yeah.
for something, but it's nice to know that's like if I want to aim for something, here's what I can hunt for, and the RNG just happens while I'm hunting, and I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about it
I mean,
actively seeking out.
you can go hunt a low rank Lagombi. It doesn't matter. You still get a spin from the machine.
I mean, you can
You
do
know,
that first quest with the
roly poly lanterns.
yeah,
Or
the roly poly lanterns. Boom, you just go do that.
you do
Boom, done.
anything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm very happy. However, man, if they keep up the same design for an ultimate release, we're gonna have like Monster Hunter Frontier levels of skills. It's gonna be I don't even that's its own podcast discussion is how we think it can be expanded on because man, the amount of skills we can get now if they
Yeah.
keep decorations as the main thing, and we add in the level 4 decorations and stuff like that, like it's going to be 2 pages of skills, and that's going to be kind of crazy.
That is going to be friggin' insane. I just hope that the monsters provide enough of a challenge because right now
Yeah,
it still feels too easy, particularly after
I think it will.
after you min max your set, you just get like, oh, okay, I guess there's not just a lot of challenge left anymore. Like
Yeah.
I definitely notice whenever I play with more than two people. Again, I still come back to that 2-player number.
2 feels
It
so good.
it feels harder than one. 2 players actually feels harder than one because the monster is way more predictable when you're just alone. Whereas if there's 2 players on there, the monster is more unpredictable, more dangerous, and can mess you guys up faster. I cart
But
more
it's
often
so
in 2 players
enjoyable.
than solo, which I think is actually really good. But you put a 3rd player in there, cakewalk.
Oh,
Cakewalk, instant cake. It's that subtle balance going from 2 to 3, boom, instant cakewalk. Whether it's rampage, whether it's whatever, you go from being overwhelmed left, right, and center for the monsters not even leaving their spawn area. If you just add
Yeah.
1 extra player, it is insane. And if you get 4 players, then it's forget about it. It's just not.
Yeah.
There's not even a hint of challenge at that point. The monster's just like constantly staggered, does nothing, no threat whatsoever. At least
But high rank has always been like that, though. I think in traditional past games,
so. I was
except for the well, I mean, with four players at least, because
Yeah.
there was only the 4 player scaling. But
but I was
I have high
actually
hopes for master rank. Yeah,
I was actually thinking about something, and this is weird because I feel like I was on the other side of this, and now I feel like I'm back to. I was thinking about scaling earlier today, scaling in the hub, particularly because of GU, right? Because in GU, the hub is scaled for multiplayer. It is what it is. And it was challenging. Like, at least I think it was challenging if you had, like, even with 3 players on there, there are some monsters that will give you a run for your money. And so I was thinking, I think I would actually like that. I would like this hub to be scaled for 2 players as opposed to being scaled for 1.
ah,
I don't know, but there was just something about GU where I constantly felt you would feel the need to go play with other people, whereas in this game you don't feel the need. Like, yeah, sure, you can play with a friend or not just to have fun, but there isn't a need to do so. You can do everything
yeah.
solo.
I think it's a dual-edged sword, right? Because they want to make it more accessible. So for people
Yeah.
who do not have online, or they do not have the ability to play with others, or they don't want to, they're not at a handicap, which I
Yeah.
think is awesome. But in the same, because of that, there's less
Necessity.
encouragement to
Yeah.
go to help from other players. So I don't think there's quite a way they can find a sweet spot for it. I think it's going to be, you're going to lose something either way. So I think more accessible is probably the better route. But I get what you're saying. It's like other players, it's always been very appreciated. It's always been like, oh, thank God, there's other people with me. And
Yeah.
now it's kind of like, wow, I got more people. Like, I'm more worried about the other players than I am the monster. Um, the risk is more that they're gonna cart than it is that the monster is gonna kill us.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It was just something that I was thinking about because of my time with you, and I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but there was just something about GU and about the fact that you actually needed. I mean, it's not like you needed. You could solo G rank. A lot of people solo G rank, but it was significantly more challenging to do so. Particularly in my case with the gun lance, which is tremendously underpowered in GU. So
So here's an idea that I had, which I don't think they'll do, but I would love to see it is, what if, you know how you get like 4 reward slots guaranteed for a hunt, right? And it rolls and you can sometimes get 5 or 6 items. What if you go into a hub quest for, let's say, master rank, and you can change the scale of, if you're a single player and you say, do you want it to scale for 1 player, 2 players, 3 players, 4 players? And when you pump the scale up, the reward slots increase.
yeah, I think
So
that
if
would
you
be interesting.
So if you want to fight it scaled for 2, but you're solo, you get more rewards. But you get that option. That would be
I
kind
don't
of funny.
I don't think that the rewards will ever make up for it because you could probably kill it solo twice and get twice the rewards in the
Yeah,
time it would
it's
take you if it was scaled. But I do think that is interesting because right now I do find that some of the hunts feel a little bit short, especially if you
yeah.
really min max the crap out of your set. You can really get some crazy sets going. So yeah.
Yeah, I think they're gonna go crazy for Master Rank. I think everything's gonna be very hard if they make the Master, which I'm pretty sure they will. Uh,
So
yeah,
another
I don't. They've never held back on Master Rank. They've never tried to make that too easy or accessible. That's never been the point of Master Rank. So high hopes.
But on the topic of GU, one of the questions that I received as well was, would we recommend Generations Ultimate to someone who started Monster Hunter with Rise?
I'm gonna say no, not personally. There's a lot of things I love about Generations Ultimate, and as someone who came from the older games, there's a lot of wonderful stuff I will always appreciate about that game. But its playability, like its accessibility, and just the clunkiness, I guess you can say, that you can feel, is so predominant coming from Rise or World. So I wouldn't even say just Rise, but World as well. I think it's you'd have to be a really you'd have to be very in love with Monster Hunter. I think like if you played World and you really loved it, and it's that love is enough to get you over those hurdles. I think it's fine, but also you have to keep in mind that Generations Ultimate was created for people who came from the older games, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't explain anything. It's basically just an anniversary game saying, "Okay, have fun." So it's very hard to understand. There's
But
I
see,
for me
this
personally,
is
I think it's hard. I don't know if I would do it because I went back to Geo and I play. I still have fun because I have that in my head. But Una tried it and she
she didn't.
realizes she's like, this is pretty cool, but she's like, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. It's I think if you come from, the for starters, if you simply come from a game that has like full maps like Rise or World, just having that kind of like shock of like, what do you mean this? There's a small area, and then I go through and I see a loading screen. Well, what's this? Like, just that can be very shocking. I feel like for us, it's not going to be as much because we played like Freedom Unite, we played Try and
Yeah,
whatnot, so we're kind of used to it. It's not that big a deal, but potentially for someone that comes from one of these games that just has a full map and going back to zone maps, I think it can be pretty jarring. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of comments from people who started with World and
mm,
then went to Gen U and they actually
and liked
liked
it.
Gen U more than World.
Interesting.
I've
Okay, so
seen
maybe I'm
a
overthinking it.
lot of comments like that. So my suggestion on this is wait for a sale and pick it up on a sale. Or better yet, try the demo. Isn't there a demo? I think there's a demo in the
Yeah,
eShop.
but yeah, but demos are never good at
Yeah,
explaining or showing off the game. But I mean, it's better. It's free, so
yeah. So it's like for starters, I would say try the demo, see how you feel about the demo, and if you think that the demo, convinced you, then I would wait for a sale because the game is constantly on sale. Like I see it all the time at like half
yeah, yeah,
price or even lower. So wait for a sale and pick it up during a sale because what's the worst that can happen? Is like you're down $15 or $19 or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. No big deal.
I don't think it's the end of the world, but to each his own. Some people have financial trouble,
Yeah.
obviously, with COVID and whatnot. So
If you're
those
looking
people
for
don't
something
risk
to
it.
sink 1,000 hours in, like that
Yeah,
game's got. I mean, I'll spit it this way: if you're a person who doesn't like the feeling of feeling overwhelmed, like you don't know what to do, there's just too much, you probably won't like the game. If you like
yeah.
the idea that you're swimming in content and stuff to do, there is like what, like 300 final form weapons or something crazy like that for every
I,
single weapon. There's so much to do and so much. It's almost too much. It's
I
just
know that it's
you will
over
never run out of
90.
stuff to do.
I know that it's over 90 monsters. That's the
Yeah.
one statistic that I remember. It's over 90
It is a
monsters in that game.
fantastic way, though, to fill out your. If you're a new Monster Hunter fan and you want to face the other monsters that you haven't yet, it's a
Yeah.
fantastic title to go through and meet them. I think,
Yeah. I
but
completely agree.
certain weapons might feel a little off for you. So mess around with the hunter arts, the styles and stuff, and figure it
Just
out.
it's like the thing is, just be aware that this is a very different game than both World and Rise. It is very, very, very different. It is going to
It does
feel
make you
completely
appreciate Rise
different.
more though in World
Yeah.
more. Like the changes, you appreciate it more.
But as someone who, I mean, my journey was like try, then Freedom Unite, then 3 Ultimate, and then 4 Ultimate, and then Gen, and then World, and then after World, Generations Ultimate. And I still loved
Yeah,
playing Generations Ultimate. So it's like,
it's a
would I
fabulous game.
would I recommend it? And probably at a discount, it's an easy recommendation. Or if you're just like a hardcore Monster Hunter fan, you probably already made the decision. So long
Yeah,
as you're prepared for something that is very different from Rise and World, okay? There's nowhere
yeah.
near that level of fluidity. It is a much more deliberate, a lot more animation commitment, and a lot more in terms of complexity because the game does not explain stuff to you at all. Not like Rise or World do like a stellar job at explaining everything to you. But that's why you go to Gaijin's channel and he's got like all the tutorials on there for every weapon, every style, everything that you can dream of. He's got like everything on there. It's like, oh, I want to learn how to play adept style hunting horn. He's probably got a video on that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that game. On the flip side, I actually think that if someone played Rise and they really liked it, but they have not played World Iceborne, I think they would really enjoy it.
GU, you mean? Or World?
No, no, World,
Yeah.
World and Iceborne. If you played Rise and you really enjoyed it, and then you happen to get a next gen console or something like that, then I think World and Iceborne are really fun. I think it's worth checking out because the
Yes.
mechanics are pretty much the same as Rise. Rise is more like the high pace action version, and this is a little bit more slower and deliberate, but it's very fun.
I definitely agree. World is a lot easier to recommend to newcomers to Monster Hunter for sure.
Yeah.
And on the while we're on that, where is this is kind of a strange question. Where is Rise for us at this point in the context of other Monster Hunter games?
See, I've been struggling with this for years because it's always the question, right? Like, what's the best Monster Hunter game, right?
Yeah,
The best Monster Hunter game is the Monster Hunter game that I'm playing right now. I
exactly.
think I think that's the correct answer because at the time when I was playing 3U, there was never a game experience like it. It was the pinnacle of my gaming history. When I was playing 4U, it was the exact same thing. When I was playing World, I came out saying this is the best monster ever made. Were there certain things that I was lacking? Sure. Were there things that I missed from the other games? Absolutely. But each game is the best Monster Hunter game for different reasons, right? So, I mean, it's a cheesy answer, but the best Monster Hunter game is all of them. Um, there's just I can't rank them. It's. I think if you wanted to be like objective, which is impossible because this is a purely subjective topic, anyways. I would say that if we're going like Olympic style, like we literally were giving points for each category, right? Which I don't agree with because for some people, certain categories don't matter, right?
Yep.
Like maybe you don't play online, so the online experience doesn't matter, so you don't get points for that. But if we were to give points for story, mechanics, variation, monsters, blah 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 blah, I think ultimately for Ultimate probably gets overall the most points. For when you look at all the different categories, right? So I would say if you ultimately wanted to say what's the best Monster Hunter, perhaps it was for you. That being said, would I go back and play for you right now over Rise? Probably not. One, because I already played it to death, but two, I think it's evolved to something different. So I don't want to rank them anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a chicken shit. I don't know, but
So
I don't. How about you?
so to me, it's like I look at this from a different standpoint, which is when I think about it, Rise is definitely my favorite Monster Hunter game. World took that torch when it came out, but Rise is definitely my favorite Monster Hunter game. However, there is always one thing that I like to go back to For You for, and that's the story. For You has the
Yeah,
best story. Like from all of the Monster Hunter games, as far as I'm concerned, For You has the best story of any not of any Monster Hunter game, any Mainline Monster Hunter game because I never played through
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Stories, so I don't know. I don't know
So
the
this
story
this
of that
this
one.
is going to sound awfully pessimistic, and I think I've said it before in this podcast, but I think that was. I don't think we'll ever get that again. I
But
think
I
it
want it.
reminds me. I well, it to me it reminds me, and I think I've talked about this with you. Was it reminds me of Final Fantasy VI, like the old Super Famicom, Super Nintendo game, like because assets were easier to create because they were it was just a different pipeline back then because it was handheld and it was lower resolution. They were able to make so many environments and so many different things that you could have the story was less about the events like like talking to people. It was more about the adventure, right?
Yeah,
Going to all these different locales and all these this is the journey of it, and the journey of For You was amazing
exactly.
with the quality now that they have to make for all the assets for all the towns and all the locations. I don't see how they can make something with that scope, again. And I think the scope is what made that game feel like a true adventure. Like we went everywhere in that game. It was unbelievable. So I think that was I kind of think that it's harder to pull that off in future games. I just don't see it as much.
Yeah, but
RPGs these days are kind of remind me of that. I think Bravely Default I really enjoyed the first one because it was still kind of like lower assets and like it had adventure and you went places all over the place and you had your airship and it was like the old school type of stuff. But nowadays we're like it's very story like linear and we have four major locations and that's it and lots of dialogue and I think that's just the asset creation problem when you start getting too high fidelity things are not getting easier to make you know
yeah,
before
but
you yeah the adventure is just mwah, chef kiss. I mean it's
that's
so good.
that's the only thing that I would say like in term because when it comes to combat, my favorite one is Rise. Like it's
Rise, yeah.
I don't even have to think about it. Like it's blast dash, like done.
Yep.
Okay, but it's not even just blast dash because a lot of the weapons that I've played, I think the weapon that disappointed me the most is Lance. I don't like Lance and Rise for some reason,
Yeah.
but all of the other weapons that I've played is like Charge Blade's amazing, Gun Lance is
Yep.
awesome, Sword and Shield is the best.
Yes, I
There's
would say
all of
like
this
give me
stuff.
give me the mechanics of Rise, the production values and fidelity of Iceborne, and the adventure of For You, and we're
dude,
golden.
dude,
We're golden.
that would be like the best game ever created in the history of ever. Just like forget about
I
it.
know.
You can delete the
But
other
that's what I
games at
mean,
that
right?
point. Just delete them.
So if I had a gun to my head and I had to choose the best, I'll say For You. At this point, Rise still has an Ultimate Edition coming, so it has that opportunity. But then again, that adventure, man, oh, that was so good,
Yeah,
and the soundtrack was. I don't know, yeah, it was a good game. But yeah, I still stand by. I don't like to compare them. I think they're great for different reasons, and because of different reasons, it depends on who you are. I think you'll find different ones better. But it's a runaway answer. I apologize.
pretty much.
But I think in the end we're both saying For You.
No, I think overall
But Rise is
I'll still
my
go for
favorite to play right
overall.
now.
I would still go for Rise. If I was going for
Yeah.
overall, I would still go for Rise. But it's just there's just that one little side note that I gotta give to For You that adventure was friggin' awesome. Like that's it.
Yeah.
you just gotta give him that because that was really really
But the
good.
hunting mechanics get better every game. So
Yeah,
that's why Rise is the top of the cake and the next game will probably be even better.
yeah, pretty much. And I think the only game where I felt things going a little bit back was actually Generations because I felt like they fumbled a little bit with some of those early quests. There's so much gathering, gathering,
Oh
gathering,
my
gathering, gathering.
god, yeah.
You want some more gathering, gathering, gathering. Got some more gathering, gathering, gathering. Like the
That was painful.
the first five or so ranks of village, I played Palico or Prowler more than I played Hunter because
Yeah,
Prowlers didn't need pickaxes because in the old games you actually had to craft your pickaxes and whatnot. So
and they
Prowlers
broke
didn't
and
need
stuff.
pickaxes or the things to pick up bugs that I forget what the
The thing
nets.
is, I think
didn't need
I think
any of those
Prowler
things.
mode was the bedrock for World and Rise. I think it was experimental And I think they realized that shaving out a lot of the mundane stuff actually worked really well. And I kind of feel that Prowler was a great experiment.
Yeah.
Like running around without worrying about stamina when a monster's not in the area. Like that, all that stuff feels inspired from Prowler. Would it be OP if you had unlimited stamina? No. It just feels nice. Would it be OP if you didn't need bug nets? No, it just feels nice. It's just like things like that.
Mm. Yeah.
But Rise is good. I think that's the final message. Rise is fun.
Pretty much. Rise is definitely fun. So
I mean, and if people are like, "Oh, well, you're in the honeymoon phase," I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Honeymoon phases last 300 freaking hours." I think we're out of the honeymoon phase.
I'm pretty much out of the honeymoon phase, 100%. Just like,
yeah,
nope.
Like I can criticize certain parts of the game. I'm not that in love, but I am that in love. It's that I don't care. It's 1% out of 99 that I love, so it doesn't bother me as much.
So this next one is, again, there are some of these that are kind of weird, but do you ever feel bad for maining the strongest weapon in the game? So this is a question like if our main weapon is ever like the strongest weapon in the game, if we feel bad playing it, and the answer is no. No. Hell no. But then again, I never have to worry about that because I play Gunlance. My weapon's never going to be the strongest weapon in the game.
And I played Prowler in Insect Glaive, so I mean, yeah. I think the idea is this expands beyond just weapons. I think it goes to sets as well. Like if you are someone who enjoys just taking the most popular set or the most powerful set or the most powerful weapon, is that any less than just finding your own? And no, I think as long as you're enjoying the game, that's all that matters.
It's ultimately it's all about what is fun for you. And
yeah,
would I feel bad for playing the most powerful weapon? Probably not. But the thing is, in most games, I just tend to gravitate for the things that are not necessarily the most popular ones naturally. So I don't see that really happening. If it ever happened, I don't think I'd care. Like if my thing was the most powerful, I'd be like, okay, well, it's too bad. It was my time to shine in the sun or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. Again, I don't play just one weapon anyways. So the question really doesn't apply for me, I guess.
Yeah, but if Gunlance was ever the strongest weapon, I'd be like, yeah, my turn. Yeah, screw all of you.
My turn, finally.
Friggin' longsword mains. Take that. That'd be my reaction. Take that, longsword mains. That's what you get. Oh, man. So you said you wanted to talk about switch skills. I'm gonna let you.
Yeah,
lead.
I thought that would be. I thought that would be a fun topic to end this podcast. Is talking now that we've had enough hands-on time with the switch skills for most of the weapons. I thought it'd be fun for us to revisit it and give our thoughts about, do we find them viable? Do we enjoy it? Does it change the rhythm of it? Because, I do notice from the comments from my videos that there's a lot of people who don't understand or they haven't messed with the switch skills so much. So I thought it'd be interesting to hear your takes on some of these things as well.
Okay, so
obviously there's going to be some of them that both of us have not played much. There's going to be some that I have and you haven't, or you have and I haven't. So we'll just go down the board and I think just give some extended thoughts. Might be a fun experiment here. Maybe it won't be. Maybe we'll just blow through this in 10 minutes. I don't know. We'll see.
Let's see.
So I guess I got a list here, so we'll just go down. So Greatsword. Greatsword's got 3 of them. The first one is Guard Tackle. This is one I actually don't have experience with so much.
I do. I like it.
Well, it guards up.
I like it a lot. So a lot of people, I've actually talked about this in my Greatsword guide, that I personally really like this skill, but there's a lot of people that don't like it because it costs you sharpness because of the fact that you're blocking. Now, an interesting thing about Guard Tackle is that it's not affected by guard. So it blocks everything.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I don't know if it blocks stuff that requires guard up, though. I didn't experiment that deeply. But like really heavy hits with you having 0 guard, no problem. It'll go right through them. And the interesting...
Weren't you able to tackle through stuff anyways, though, with the regular tackle?
You are, but you take damage.
Oh, that's the... I see now.
See, but so this costs you sharpness. With the other one, it doesn't. And here's the thing. Guard Tackle has longer animation commitment as well. So you're like kind of stuck in that animation more. So there's a lot of people that don't like that. But the really cool thing about guard tackle is that if you actually take a hit when you're doing guard tackle, it skips
Yeah.
one phase of the charge. So you can basically
Ooh.
dodge roll into a true charge slash if you play your cards right.
Nice.
And that is friggin' juicy. So personally, I love it, but from the comments in my video, I think that most greatsword mains prefer the regular shoulder tackle. And there's also another thing, which is regular shoulder tackle gives you protection from all directions, whereas guard is only from the front. So if you get hit from
I
behind,
see.
doesn't matter. But yeah,
Interesting.
so there's some differences there, but I think that the guard one is the more interesting one for me. You know, it's going to depend on
That's neat.
players.
It sounds balanced. I like it.
Yeah.
So the next one is a really interesting one, which is Rage Slash. So you give up the wonderful True Charge Slash and those huge ass numbers, and what you get is a level 3 charge that you're basically invincible. You can't get knocked out of it, and you can aim it in any direction you want.
Do you not take
which
damage?
is crazy.
I don't remember if
Maybe
you
you
take
take
damage
damage?
or not.
I don't know. Maybe you do, but
It's been a while.
you can aim it in any direction, which is something that Yuna really enjoys.
Yep.
Although we both love the damage, it's quite a downgrade from the True Charge Slash, but it is safe as hell.
No, but the thing is,
Um,
it deals more damage if you get hit while you're doing it.
Yeah, it gets more powerful.
It still doesn't
So
reach
that-
true charge slash numbers, but it gets pretty good.
The reason why I like Rage Slash is because it goes so well with the next one, which is the Adamant Charge Slash, which is the Silkbind move.
Yeah.
And basically you go zzzp, and you jump forward and you go into a strong charge, and it's the same thing. You don't get knocked out of it. You get knockback protection. It does great damage. And you can immediately go afterwards into a True Charge Slash, or like we were talking about, the Rage Slash. So if you pair those two together, you're basically completely protected for 2 full attacks. Like there's nothing the monster can do to you except make you stronger. I guess maybe you could take damage, but the Adamant I really like. Have you used it?
Yeah, I've used Adamant. I prefer Adamant over the other choice, which is Hunting Edge. I didn't
Yeah.
really like Hunting Edge very much, although some people have opened up to one thing that I didn't notice, which is if you do Hunting Edge, you can charge the plunging thrust with ZR, which I was not aware of. But
I feel so bad. There was a Japanese channel and he was trying so hard. He's like, I love Hunting Edge and I'm going to show everybody that it's good, it's usable. And then he whiffs it in the first 2 examples in his video.
this skill's so good, you have no
everybody-
idea.
The comments had an absolute ball with it. They're like, we love your enthusiasm, but man, you did not really make your point here, my friend.
That is
so
funny
funny.
that he whiffs it.
I mean, didn't even I think Monster Hunter Official, the video, when they were showing off, he whiffed it in the first one.
It's the easiest thing to do is whiff Hunting Edge, and it just wastes 2 of your bugs. Just like straight up, they're
Oh,
gone.
man. Yeah, and then the Adamant Charge Slash only takes 1, so you can mix that in with the that one that lets you get away and charge up your sword. It's so good.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm a big fan of the Greatsword. I think they're well balanced. I think you get a good choice no matter where you go with those.
Hmm.
So your favorite weapon, longsword,
Oh yes, I love the longsword. I'm all about that.
the drawn double slash. What are your thoughts on that one?
So the drawn double slash, I think that's the one that I haven't unlocked yet. I don't think I've unlocked that one yet.
So this one makes me feel weird because it's only the draw attack when your weapon is sheathed. And with the way the EI slash makes it, do you ever actually put away your damn longsword? You don't.
I mean,
Not that
yeah,
often,
if you
right?
if you need to run, yeah, I put away the sword.
You know, so it gives you like a double hit, and you can go straight into Spirit Blade 2. I mean, it's fine.
Like my friend that
I-
played longsword, I asked him about that skill. I was like, so what's this one like? And he's like, oh, that one's just better than the regular one. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, it's got a counter. Apparently, you can like actually counter an attack coming at you with it.
Oh,
You can draw in, which makes it quite delicious, actually. So, I think, Yeah, overall, it feels like it's just the better choice. It's just not something that I normally would use a lot in a hunt because I just don't put my weapon away that much. But
It
you know,
just feels there are some of these switch skills that do just kind of feel like a better choice. Yeah.
yeah. So that's something for you to unlock, so you can play as you guiltily enjoy your longsword
Oh
every day. I
yes,
know you love it.
Guiltily enjoy my longsword. Very guilty.
So
Oh,
the Spirit Reckoning combo.
here's an
Yeah.
interesting thing. I have, by the way, for all of you longsword mains out there, I have a charm with 3 quick sheath, 1
Mm.
slugger, a tier 2 deco slot, and 1 or 2 tier. I think it still has 2 tier 1s as well on top of it. So
Oh
it's
my
just
god.
it's one of the best quick sheath that you can possibly have. Yeah, I have that. Okay, just to let you guys know, I have it.
So Spirit Reckoning combo. It's the different one than that awesome round slash combo, but it does more damage.
So it does
I
more
like it.
damage and it goes vertical. I think that one's
Yeah.
cool, but that one's one of those things where, to me, it's situational. So, like, if I'm fighting something that maybe flies a lot, like a Rathalos or Rathian, I might go for that. But if I'm fighting something that moves a lot, like, say, a Magnum Malo, then I'm definitely going
Yeah.
to take the other one. So,
Yeah.
that is definitely one of those skills that I think is really good in terms of balancing, because different monsters, you would want to have different versions of the skill, which is a good thing.
Yeah, Yuna and I came up with the same conclusion, which is I don't care if it does double the damage or whatever it might be. There's the dopamine drip you get from doing the round slash is just too good. We can't give it up. It feels
Oh,
so
so
good.
you
That
just don't
spirit
give
round
it up
slash,
at all?
I love it because the camera pulls out, and
Yeah.
it looks
Zoom.
so cool. It's the anime factor. We like it.
I actually like the animation on the vertical one though. I think it's pretty cool. So I don't really mind that much swapping it around. It's just it depends on the monster. So like if I'm fighting a monster that moves a lot, I
Yeah.
want the round slash to make sure that I don't miss. But other than that, yeah, I'd take the other one. I don't care.
Yeah, we already talked about Sakura Slash, so I don't necessarily. I would like to get your take, but I've already given you mine on
Did
that
we?
one. So giving up either the
Oh,
Helm Splitter or the Sakura Slash.
so I think that Helm Splitter is overall better. I think it's kind of
Oh
like a
yeah,
no-brainer because it deals a ton of damage. But Sakura Slash is better if you're starting out. Like if you're someone who's new to the longsword, Sakura Slash is a lot easier because you basically just like use it, boom, done, Sakura Slash. You know, so
level up.
yeah, I think
I
it all
love it.
depends
Yeah,
on your experience level. If you're experienced enough that you can use Helm Splitter decently, go for that. If you're a newcomer to the longsword, play this one. You know, I think it's kind
yep. And don't feel bad, guys. I love Sakura Slash. I don't care
yeah,
how good I
exactly.
get at the longsword. I love it. It's fun. It's comfortable.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I almost feel like longsword should start with Sakura Slash and then unlock spirit the kick. I think it would make more
I
sense for
agree
the
with
weapon.
that. Yeah, that I will agree with. So certain shield drill slash combo versus the hard basher combo. I
And
love them both.
I went drill and it's weird because I love shields and I love bashing things with shields, but like drill slasher is so satisfying. And here's the thing: if you combine drill slasher with the other skill that we're going to be talking about, the sliding slash, you get a
Yeah,
lot of shield hits in anyway. So I don't even
yeah.
feel like I'm missing out. So you just get an extra combo, drill slash, boom, deals more damage. I love it. I love drill slash. So
Nice.
that's pretty much the way that I've started playing SNS the moment I could. It was drill slash. It's like and I don't think I swapped a hard basher combo ever again.
Yeah, I'm opposite. I love them both, but I love the hard basher combo. The
Yeah.
distance, the speed, the animation, the KO. It just feels too good for me. But they're both really good. I think there's a good balance between those two.
Yep.
So advancing slash versus the sliding slash.
Sliding slash all the way unless the monster is giving me problems. Sometimes you have those monsters that move in a way that your sliding slash ends right at the tip and doesn't actually connect. If I see that I'm fighting a monster and I feel that, then I'll go back and I'll swap to advancing so that I don't get stuck in an animation. But besides that, I usually just go for sliding slash because it's the aerial sword and shield from GU and I loved it. So I was like, dude, it's no
Oh yeah,
brainer.
and it allows me to do more falling bashes with my shield. I mean,
Exactly.
come on.
It's a
And they're
no
like,
brainer.
it has high reach but no ability to turn. Oh darn. I mean, If you're doing a forward attack, it means that you already are aiming towards
You're
what you
committing,
want.
yeah.
So I don't see the big deal. I don't see the big deal there.
Yeah,
So for me, it's the winner, but
I never really saw like when I read that skill, I was like, oh, so there's a downside to it, and I was like, no, no, there's not. The one thing that I would like that skill to do, you know what it is? I feel like that skill should trigger sliding affinity. It's literally a
yeah,
sliding slash should trigger sliding affinity.
well, then it would be way too much better than
Exactly.
Advancing Slash.
Then it would be overpowered. Like I get it, but I just kind of feel
Yeah.
like it's weird because you have something that says specifically if you slide, you gain extra things, and then it's like, well, I'm sliding. Where's my extra affinity? This is a lie. This skill is a lie.
So this next one feels like the longsword with the helm splitter and Sakura, which is the Metsu Shoryugeki versus the windmill. And I think they did this the right way, where you started out with windmill. It's
Yes.
very good if you're new to the weapon. You're invincible the entire time, lots of hits. But then you can unlock the Metsu Shoryugeki, which is like low skill floor, high skill ceiling.
What do you mean
Feels
low
good.
skill floor?
Well, if you want to get the counter off, right? Like it may be hard at first.
It's super
It's still
hard.
powerful, even if you don't do the counter. But if you get the counter off, oh,
Yeah. Exactly.
it's
So
so good.
I basically tend to go more Metsu, but again, it depends on what we're doing with the weapons. Like we talked about, if you're playing something that you want to apply a status ailment, then potentially windmill is going to be better. But if you want
Yeah.
just straight out damage and style, then Metsu Shurigeki is the stylist one.
Metsu, yeah.
You gotta love hearing that
so-
counter sound going off too.
Bing, 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 bing. Yeah, it's so good.
Super satisfying.
So, dual blades. Demon Flight versus Demon Flurry Rush. This is like the slingshot one versus the aerial style.
I haven't played dual blades at all. Zero hunts. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think that the one where you put the thing in the explosive, I think that one might be more powerful.
Okay, this is a different one. This is you know how like you do like a forward spinning sort of like attack when you're in demon mode?
Yeah.
It's like really good for chasing the monster. That you can give up for basically the advancing slash of the longsword. So you do like a hop forward and then you do a jump in the air.
Oh.
And you can do either the windmill or you can just do aerial attacks.
So you just press A and it throws you in the air?
Well,
What
you
the
do like a
hell?
little forward hop. You do a little vault, and if you vault off the monster, you go in the air. And you can
Oh,
do
so
a crap load
it's
of hits.
just like aerial. It's literally just
Yeah,
like
it's just-
aerial in
it's
GU.
aerial style, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's really nice.
Then I
However, I will
I
say
would
there
totally
are certain
do that.
monsters if you're
would
not.
totally do that.
Yeah. So I think there's certain monsters like Rajang where if you're not really familiar with where your safe zones are, being thrown in the air could actually make you easy to get knocked out. But if you know what you're doing, Demon Flight, I think all the way. If you like to just run in and do spinning style, then Flurry Rush is fun. But I can't give up Demon Flight. It's just too good. It's way too much fun. The next one I feel is unfair. I think this one, Demon Mode versus Feral Demon Mode, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. You got to go for Feral Demon Mode.
What's
So
the
what this
main
does,
difference?
Yeah, it does like the wolf's maw animation when you go into it, so it's a little bit longer animation to go into demon mode. You don't run quite as fast, but on the flip side, you get your dodges become attacks, and they don't tell you this, but you get like a 16% raw boost. On my dual blades, it goes from like 260 to like almost 300. It's like a plus 30 attack boost.
Damn.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, so it to me it's no, like why are you not using Feral Demon? I don't see the point of using Demon Mode.
Interesting.
It's too big of a jump. The damage is just too big.
Okay. What's the third one?
Third one, Tower Vault versus Piercing Bind. This is an interesting one because Piercing Bind, of course, is great, but there's a lot of people who have a hard time hitting it because you have to be really close to the monster to put the kunai inside. The Tower Vault, literally, it just throws you up in the air. It's just a high jump.
So that
That's
was
all
the
it is.
one that was the one that I was thinking of when you were talking about throwing
Yeah.
the character in the air. Yeah, see that
So
one
that is a
one
good
I would
choice
probably go
if
for
you
the
wanted to.
kunai.
Yeah, for Tower Vault, we realized it's actually really fun if you get used to using the Demon Flight and the aerial style, and you press A and you can do like this sort of spinning down the back of the monster. You can do that with Tower Vault.
Yeah,
You could
but
just, if a Rathalos jumps in the air, I just do a tower vault and I'm like all the way down him.
the
It's
thing
fun.
the thing is, if you want to do that, and this was something that I experimented with in the demo, you can just wire bug yourself up and then press demon mode in the air and do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So it's a weird one.
yeah,
I think the piercing bind, Yuna doesn't like it because I think it's just a pain in the butt. Like you got to be
Mhm.
really close. You then you got the stress of trying to hit that one area. It does really good damage though.
yeah.
Tower Vault is just really fun for avoiding stuff and then just being able to just lunge yourself forward at the monster is kind of fun.
Mm.
So it's kind of a hobby skill for me.
Yeah.
So Lance, Spiral Thrust versus Anchor Rage. I covered this in my tutorial, but they're just two very different skills for two different styles of play. If you're using a lance with a lot of guard, then you definitely want Spiral Thrust because it works with it. And if you're using low or no guard, then Anchor Rage all the way. So I think these are
See,
just very different.
this is already one of those points where I like the lance less because of the way that Anchor Rage works. Like I want, because the one that I like more is Anchor Rage, but I want to play lance with like 3 guard, and so Anchor Rage doesn't really, you don't really get all of the benefit from Anchor Rage. So it's kind of a weird thing. And then Spiral Thrust, I don't like it. Like for some reason in the training area, I can perfectly control spiral thrust. If I'm in an actual scenario fighting a monster, I always end up going someplace I don't want to go. So I don't like spiral
Interesting.
thrust. I like Anchor Rage, but Anchor Rage gets nerfed on the count of the fact that I like to play with guard. So I'm just like, well, what the hell? What is this weapon, right? Like, it just feels
Yeah.
bad. So I don't know what to say. I wish that Anchor Rage would work in the way that's like, the stronger the attack that hits you is, so the more damage the attack would deal, then the more damage I deal back. That makes sense. But the
Yeah.
whole thing about the more this attack would knock you back, the more damage you deal, I'm like, that's dumb. I'm sorry. I don't like it. But yeah, for me,
Interesting.
I would go for Anchor Rage still because I don't like where I end up whenever
It's
I do
easier to
Spiral
use for sure.
Thrust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention the animation on
Interesting.
that thing is badass. It's like like it feels really good to pull that counter off. But then once you know the inner workings of the mechanics behind that counter, you're like, well, okay. I guess I have to play without block and counter rage
Yeah.
every hit. Don't know about that.
The
How about
next
you?
one is Shield Charge versus Dash Attack.
But how about you
This is
on
an
those
interesting.
two?
Oh, me? I like them both. I play both.
Okay.
I have different land sets. Ones with no guard and ones with guard. So I actually I can use both of them pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with them. I like because you know me, I love evade lancing. It's always my favorite way to
Yeah.
play the game. And because Anchor Rage is so much easier to use, it just means that there's more reason to try evade lancing than ever before. Not only is evade extender crazy good in this game,
Oh
but
yes.
you also get to use Anchor Rage, which is fantastic because it's very easy to use.
Yep.
But Spiral Thrust is a powerhouse if you get good at it. So I enjoy it quite a bit. It's hard to pull off. It's only good against certain monsters, I think.
Yep.
But then Shield Charge versus Dash Attack. Dash is the one that allows you to just go like wee and just run forever, and you get like
The
a
choo choo
billion
train.
choices of things to do. Shield Charge is just
Shield
so good.
charge. I love it. I love the shield charge. I love bashing things with shields. And I feel like shield charge has more synergy with twin vines, which is a crappy skill to begin with, but sure. At least you get a little bit more synergy with that. But I like the options that it gives you. Because like if you're anywhere in the air and you just press ZR, you just go into the
ZR,
charge,
yeah.
and then you can do the thing to do the shield slam to the face, and that thing KOs like hell. That thing will wreck.
Uh-huh.
Like if I did a build for it, which was the fish skewer. It was not around shield charge. The build was actually around just dealing thunder damage. But even without specifically focusing on the shield aspect of the weapon, like I basically bashed Mizutsune's head into oblivion, just like with shield charge.
Yeah.
But
So I would say dash attack is easier for starting the weapon because
Yeah.
it's very easy to aim and it's deliberate and you can end it whenever you want in any direction. Once you get really used to the weapon, shield charge can be done microly. Like if you're in the middle of a 3 thrust combo, you could just do a shield charge in the middle of it.
Yep.
Just when you see the faces right in front of you, you're like, okay, boom. It's very satisfying. So I think that's a fun one to experiment with.
The
if
thing
you feel
about shield
comfortable.
charge is that it sucks up so much stamina. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. That thing will eat through your stamina like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm. So that feels nice and balanced to me.
Yeah.
And then Insta Block, I hate that name, versus Guard. Insta Block, I'm with you on this one. Insta Block is just too severe. The timing is so severe. Maybe I just suck, but I'm not that good. I cannot pull it off
And the thing,
consistently at all.
it's not even how severe the timing is for it, because you can have something that is really hard to pull off if it has, like, you know, if when you pull
Good
it off,
payoff.
it pays off. I just feel like the payoff on it is terrible. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's not as
There's not even a good payoff. There's all of this effort to land this thing perfectly, and then there's no payoff for it. There's like, well,
I'd
what
rather
the hell?
I'd rather just counter thrust at that point. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Counter thrust,
So I'm
anchor
not a
range.
fan of Insta Block, but if you can make it work, I'm sure it's great because you can guard anything without guard. But
Yep.
I can't get it to work for me. So okay, gun lance. I don't think I need to ask this, but blast dash versus charge shelling.
And put charge shelling in the trash where it belongs. No, I mean, it's
I think
actually
most-
somewhat balanced, because wide shelling kind of plays a little bit with charge shelling. Wide shelling is now the one that can supercharge your shells and whatnot. So it's kind of like, if you play wide shelling in most situations, you're probably going to use charge shelling because it gives you access to the faster worm stake. And there are specific playstyles in the Gunlance that use charge shelling, like stake spam. That's actually a playstyle where you're just like charge, stake, charge, stake. But personally, I blast dash all the way and never look back. It's like, blast dash is a beast. Super satisfying.
Okay, I'm skipping my opinions because you'll notice on my guild card, my gun lance usage is set at 1 right now. So
I'm so sad for
ground
you.
ground splitter versus hail cutter.
So, ground splitter, I think, is the more optimal way to play Gunlance, because it supercharges your shells. Your shells deal more damage. It's one of those moves that you basically get super armor. Mobs can't stop you, and it's just a very good move all around. You can do it through roars. You can do it through attacks. You can do it through anything. So I think the ground splitter is more optimal, but hail cutter is a lot of fun. And the one that I'm using right now is actually Hail Cutter. It reduces the cooldown on your Wyvern Fire, but the really cool thing is the fact that you can basically reload your gun lance mid-air. The biggest problem with Hail Cutter is that I feel that for all the things that it does, it's not worth 2 wire bugs.
Yeah,
It's
two is
too
because ground splitter is
costly.
only 1.
Yeah, Ground Splitter is 1, and Hail Cutter is 2 costly. And here's the thing. Hail Cutter is easily interruptible.
Yeah, it's
like
a long animation.
A monster sneezes in your general direction, he interrupts your Hail Cutter, like it's gone. And not to mention that monsters now have a lot of vertical hitboxes, so a lot of times, even though you're clear off the monster, it'll still hit you and it will cancel you out. And it sucks because you don't get the full benefit of Hail Cutter until the animation finishes. When the animation finishes, that's when you get the benefit of, like, you got all your shells, you got the cooldown reduced on the Wyvern Fire. So unless you can complete the animation, you're screwed, and it's super, super punishing playing with that skill. But, you know, it's still a lot of fun, and it's stylish as hell, so I'll still use it.
Nice. So guard reload versus quick reload. So the guard reload allows you to reload both your shells and your cannon, but you do reload less shells.
Yeah, you
than a
reload
normal
3
reload.
shells. You reload 3 shells, which it's like if you're playing stake spam, it's fine. My biggest complaint about the guard reload, I don't like guard reload. Like, I'll just say it flat out. It's not a bad skill, but I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because I've played Valor Gunlance in GU, and that guard reload is way better because it combos you into other things, whereas guard reload doesn't combo into anything. You can combo into continue to spamming shells if that's what you're doing, but that's about it. Like, the other one, you would combo into a slam, you would combo into different things, so I don't like guard reload. But again, if you're
Mm,
playing wide shelling and you want to slam a stake in there, then yeah, it's the one to go for.
nice. So moving on to hammer water. This is one where I feel the balance is again upset. Water strike versus side smash. I don't see any reason why you would never use water strike. That's the one that allows you to counter basically anything.
Yeah, but I've actually made the same question in my guide, and people told me, yeah, but you can combo from side smash into golf swing, and it's faster. That's the reason to use side
But
smash. You get a faster golf swing.
but I can counter shit with the water
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
strike.
You can counter stuff with,
Diablos can be running at me, and all I gotta do is go bonk.
but you got to think about one thing, which is what are you doing most of the time that you're playing hammer? You're charging it.
Golf swinging, yeah.
You're charging it most of the time because you're running around with your charged hammer, waiting for an opening to
Yeah.
smack the monster. And if you're in that stance, you actually can't parry attacks.
Yeah. You
So
can't
it's
do either,
like,
so.
yeah. So it's one of those things where it's not as imbalanced as it looks like. Because I thought the same way, but after reading through some of the comments, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get what you can do with side smash. But I still prefer water strike, but you can do some interesting stuff with side smash as well. I just had no idea that you
Interesting.
could go from side smash into the X combo.
Yeah. But you can do a hammer like an upswing from a water strike if you counter.
Yes, 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 yes. You do a golf swing as well, yeah.
Yeah. Dash Breaker versus the Silkbind Spinning Bludgeon. This is one where I still prefer the Spinning Bludgeon by far. I think it's just being able to hold the timing and just flying in the air feels to me much safer than just flying forward. I don't
Mm,
know. There's just something about the Dash Breaker I'm not feeling yet.
for me, it's monster dependent. If I'm fighting something that flies, I'll take spinning bludgeon. If I'm not fighting something that flies, I'll probably take dash breaker.
Interesting.
Because dash breaker
Hmm.
again is one
Yeah.
of those attacks that has the super armor, so they can't
Actually,
stop you.
I think attack damage actually is negated for this one.
So
I
you
don't think
just
you
you
take any
just don't
damage.
take damage at all. Even better.
Yeah. I think once we have something like the Apex Diablos out in the wild, that'll be a really good skill against it.
Yep. Yep. For sure.
And then the charge switch courage versus strength. So basically you can have the valor
Valor
system
hammer.
if you want it, which is like a combo wombo thingy.
I haven't made up my mind on that one yet. Like, I really like courage, but I think strength might be the better choice. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think strength might be the better choice. But I just really like doing courage because courage is so much fun. It also might be that courage is more agile than strength because you can actually dodge and retain the level of attack that you were at. So, there's some advantage to both of them. I like playing both of them,
Hmm.
so it's whatever.
Yeah, I would agree. They're both up to preference. So moving on, Hunting's Horn, melodic slap versus the overhead smash. I
Mm.
guess I'll go first as I play a lot of horn. Melodic slap does some crazy ass KO. I just find the animation a little long and funky for me personally, so I haven't gotten into it too much. But I've heard people get good results if you get into it. It
I
feels like you use whichever one you like.
Yeah, I think I tend to use melodic slap a little bit more because of the added KO, but it's not like to me it wouldn't make that much difference to be honest. Like overhead smash, melodic slap, I'm like, okay, I'll get this one because it gets more KO, but I really don't care that much.
Yeah. Melody mode echo versus performance.
God, this one is hard. This one is so hard for me because here's the thing. So with performance, you get invincibility frames when you do ZR, which is good. It's really good. But the animation on echo mode is like, bam! It's like a big slap to the face. So like I really like the animation on echo mode. Overall, I prefer performance. But it's like that move from echo mode makes me question it all the goddamn time because I love the
Yeah.
ZR attack in echo mode.
It's very hard to choose between these two.
Yes.
I'm the same. I use performance because I just don't like feeling I don't even use ZR that much. I just don't I know it's really popular right now to just spam ZR and A, and that's like the way to
Yeah,
play it.
I've heard.
I don't like to do that. I actually like to use the full left swings, right swings, and behind the back. Like
Yeah,
I'm still playing it the old way, and to me, everyone's like, "Well, the old school way is Echo," and I'm like, "It's not really
yeah,
because Echo is all about spamming that ZR. I mean, it's a great attack,
yeah.
but
It's one of those things. Like, I prefer performance overall, but I don't do the thing with spamming ZRNA either. I like doing all of
yeah,
the moves, and then I like going Magnificent Trio and doing all of the crazy things that you can do. Like that playstyle that you just described sounds to me like World's long shelling, which basically you would just like
yeah.
long shell, and it's like no, I don't. I've always wanted to use more moves and weapons as opposed to like limit myself to 2 or 3 moves. So no, I don't do that.
Yeah, but Echo is an interesting choice for sure. So I
Yeah,
imagine people will enjoy that one. And then the Beat of Resonance versus the insane Earthshaker.
Earthshaker.
So unless you're using a healing horn, I don't see the reason not to use Earthshaker.
Yep.
I
Pretty
mean, yeah,
much.
Beat of Resonance allows any horn to get the attack up song, which is great, but it's not attack up XL like it was back in the
Who
day.
the hell plays a
And
horn without attack up to begin with? I'm joking.
me, um, but being able to replay the same song or do a little shockwave attack, it's that's just little bonuses stuff. But
Yeah.
being able to play 2 healings in a row is quite
Here's
substantial. So I use that for healing horns only.
here's an interesting thing about Beat of Resonance that I'm not sure, but I suspect you can chop tails with it.
But it's a shockwave attack.
No, no, no,
It's
no,
not
no.
cutting damage.
When you are placing it down, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not. But from the sound that it makes when it hits the training, because I've only done this in the training dummy, because usually I don't go next to a monster and start
Yeah.
putting the Beat of Resonance down. But when I did it next to the training dummy, because I was testing to see what it was doing, it deals damage, and the sound makes it sound like it's slashing damage.
Yeah, it's something to check, I guess. But
Yeah,
I mean, either way, it's not doing that much damage. Where it's gonna
yeah,
be.
yeah. You basically have
But
to beat on
Earthshaker
that
is so
tail.
good.
Earthshaker's amazing. You basically bust the face melter straight up. Wow. It's like straight in the
It's so
monster's
powerful
face.
too.
Yeah. Thing deals so much
So
friggin' damage. So, yep. To me, it's a
okay, so
no-brainer.
moving on. Switch act. So forward overhead smash versus forward slash.
Bye, forward slash. Never gonna see you again. Never gonna use you again. Bye.
Bye, forward overhead slash. Never gonna use you
What?
again. Bye.
No.
We
Betrayal.
are opposites.
Why? Why would you use forward slash? It's a
The
little bit
positioning,
faster, but
the positioning is so consistent with forward slash.
my positioning with the other one's pretty fine too. I'm positioned right in between the eyes of the monster. That's where it lands. Bam.
Bam, straight into the double slash. Oh man, I mean it's a really good. I would say the forward overhead slash is really good if you're into using a lot of morph attacks, because going into double slash, if you then morph back, you get the really powerful axe morph.
Mhm.
So it definitely has its uses. I find myself personally more consistent with the forward slash. I'm so
Interesting.
used to the positioning of it because I played so much switch axe in the previous games.
Yep.
I can't get that muscle memory out of my head. So to me, forward slash has to be it. So
To me, the overhead slash just reminds me a lot of the axe morph from Charge Blade. So I kind of
yeah,
got
yeah,
the
it's
I
very
got the
similar.
distancing right down, so it's like it's already no brainer. Just smack him
Well,
right
there you go.
in the middle of the
It's
head,
down to muscle memory.
pretty much. And I play more
Com-
Charge Blade than Switch Axe, so there you go. It was just
yeah.
it was a win-win for me.
So compressed finishing discharge versus finishing discharge.
Finishing discharge is what gets us to zero sum, right?
Yes,
Yeah, without that you don't
compressed
get
pretty much
zero
says screw zero sum. It doesn't care about it. It's faster. It does knock the living shit out of your teammates, I believe.
So
But you can't get knocked out of it.
So here's the thing. If I'm playing multiplayer with longsword users, then compressed element slash all the way to knock them into the air on purpose.
Oh, you are evil.
But if I'm not playing with longsword users, then I can play whatever. No, in all seriousness, the way that I would make that decision is depends on the monster. If it's a very agile monster like a Magnum Malo, I'd probably go for compressed. If it's something that's a little bit slower, I would probably go for zero sum. It's just a matter of how fast the monster is, and then I'll choose the skill based on that, probably.
Interesting. Yeah, I choose by file type. If I'm using a power file, I'll use compressed. If I'm using anything else, I use the finishing. Because getting into an amp state is so damn fast when you're using like poison or exhaust.
Yeah.
That you can't, giving that up is just too much to ask. Where a power file, being able to just do like nice big discharge, it feels good.
The thing
And
is,
then,
the discharge also then lets you follow it up with the skill that you're going to bring up next. So there's also that way in.
mhm,
Soaring
the
Wyvern.
Soaring Wyvern Blade, Jesus,
Yeah.
God, versus Invincible Gamut. This is the tough one because both are very good.
They're
But the
both
Soaring Wyvern
excellent.
Blade, if you're doing zero sum, it's a no brainer. You
Yep.
are definitely, because you can use it right afterwards, and there's no reason why you wouldn't.
After I
So
got used to Switch X a little bit more, I've started defaulting more to Wyvern Blade for sure. Soaring Wyvern
yeah,
Blade, yeah.
I think Soaring Wyvern Blade is fantastic. I think if you're
Because
starting out,
you
and I
can
think they,
get
they did
emp
this one
gauge.
right.
You can get amp gauge as well from doing that attack. It
Oh yeah.
levels up your amp gauge, so it's just it's good.
Yeah, so I think this is one where they did it right. We're starting out with Invincible Gambit as you're
Yep.
getting used to the weapon, and then unlocking something that has more risk but higher reward. With
Yep.
the Wyvern Blade, I think that was smart. So Charge Blade, condensed spinning slash versus the condensed elemental slash.
Ooh, that one is hard. I like both of them so much, and I don't like the fact that they made me choose. It depends on the build, basically. If I'm going for a build to do the what is now called the UED, which used to be called the SAED, but if I'm going for a
Yeah,
build for doing a lot of ultras, then I'll want the sword probably. Although sometimes I'll still take the spinning axe.
yeah,
But if I'm doing another build, like here's the thing, I haven't gotten around to crafting a lot of charge blades, but I feel like if
same.
I was using elemental, I would probably always go for spinning. And if
Yeah,
I'm using a power files, I tend to do more condensed element slash because you get the files and you get the stuns and you get the flinches and all that
yeah,
stuff. So it depends on what I'm playing, but I swap that one around a lot. I like both of them.
yeah. For me, I love the sound effect of the spinning slash.
Yeah.
That and I whiff, and it seems like a lot of people do as well. But I whiff on most of the ultras anyways, so like I don't care.
Dude,
I'm not used.
oh yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there. So yeah, keep going.
So counter morph slash versus morph slash.
I do morph
I
slash.
don't even know if I've ever. I don't think I've even used these before, so I
So
can't comment.
what countermorph slash does is it increases the amount of frames, very little, very small increase when you do the morphing, and there's a higher. It's easier for you to get block, not block. What do you call them? Guard points.
Guard point.
And if you do get a guard point, your next UED the files deal more damage.
Nice. Okay.
So not your next, but if you get a counter off of that guard point, not your next UED, but you get the idea. If you could guard point and counter, the files deal more damage. The problem
Yeah.
with that is that the other animation, I find it to be awkward as hell. Yeah, because the animation of swapping back from axe to sword, he does something where he blocks at the very start of the animation, and then he does like a lunge, and there's a lot of animation commitment on that lunge. So I actually think that countermorph slash is better, but I don't like the animation of swapping from axe to blade, so I don't use it. I'm just so used to
Interesting.
the when you swap from axe from doing that slash from the charge blade, that adjusting to the thrust thing is super weird. So I just stick with morph slash. And, yeah.
Okay. How about axe hopper versus counter peak performance?
X Hopper, dude, screw counter peak performance.
Yeah, it was never that. It was never that hard to charge files anyway. I can imagine some speedrunners are going to go crazy with counter peak performance, though.
I'll tell you right now
But
that
for the average Joe, like, give us a good way to do
I'll
some flashy damage.
I'll tell you right now that most people are probably going to go counter peak performance because I think that's better. I do think counter peak performance is better. But there's another thing to consider, which is, are you playing multiplayer or are you playing solo? I think if you're playing solo, counter peak performance is hands down better. If you're playing multiplayer, not as much, because you're not going to be able to get as many counters as you would solo on account of the fact the monster is focusing other players. But at the same time, I just love friggin' Axe Hopper. Axe Hopper is so much fun. Just like, shwee in the air, yeah, boom. UED in the face every single time. Love it. Friggin' amazing.
Okay, trekking on here, Insect Glaive, which I've been playing quite a bit of. So, advancing round slash versus the leaping slash.
Leaping slash.
This one, the advancing round slash is like a long commitment, and if you get hit during the middle of it, you'll do like a jump up in the air. It's, to me, it throws you forward too much, and I don't like the positioning on it, so I actually prefer the leaping slash.
It messes with for me. It messes with your positioning too much, and I just did the Insect Glaive guide, so that's exactly what I said. I'm like, this skill moves me out too much. It's interesting, and I feel like you could potentially like button mash through it. So like if you're fighting a monster and you feel like, oh, there's something coming, you can switch to A, and you can maybe counter it. But at the same time, I don't think that that's something you need with the Insect Glaive because you have so many mobility options. They're just like, what do I care? You know? So yeah, I prefer the default one.
Slash versus Tornado.
So Tetraseal is kind of a little bit weirder because I like Tetraseal, and I think that Tetraseal is good if you're playing Element or Status because you get more hits. So I think Tetraseal is better for that, whereas Tornado is better for Raw all around. The problem that I have with Tetraseal is the fact that it puts the pheromone on the monster, and sometimes that causes me to then mess up when I'm trying to get the buffs back again.
Mm-hmm.
But you can just sheath the weapon, but it's still like kind of messing with your flow. So that's the biggest problem that I have. So I think that it's great if you got like powder insects because they instantly come out and start attacking, and that's cool. But other than that, I don't know. I don't like that. I wish I could have that move without the pheromone.
Yeah, I would say if you're using a powder type, which might become more popular in the Ultimate expansion, but right now I think Assist is by far the most popular. And
I love Assist.
The extra hits you get with the Assist type when you do like Tornado Slash is so nice that you can basically KO monsters with the Insect Glaive now. If you put the Carnage Beetle or whatever on there, it's so good. That I can't go with Tetraseal because I just don't use powder types.
I still swap back and forth on it. Like I do like the animation on Tetraseal. It's just, again, I wish it didn't put that pheromone. If it didn't put the pheromone down, I would prefer Tetraseal for most of the things because I'm playing a Blast Insect Glaive right now, so Tetraseal is perfect for that. You'll get like a lot of procs, but at the end of the day, if it messes up with my flow on the next moves, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. Okay, Diving Wyvern versus Recall Kinsect.
Diving Wyvern. I like Recall Kinsect a lot, but Diving Wyvern is just like your big hit, your big chunky hit. The thing is, you can get stuck in a routine with the Diving Wyvern, and I've noticed that on myself, which is I would be like always trying to do the 3 aerial attacks and then go dive. That's a mistake. You don't want to always try to do that. You want to do it when you have the opening for it.
When you have the opening, exactly,
So, but yeah,
so for me,
I go Diving.
I use both. When I'm really focusing on the Assist Kinsect, I definitely like Recall Kinsect, and I just spam Tornado Slashes, and I have a really good time KOing monsters with it. In most cases, though, especially for flying monsters where I can get a lot of those A attacks on, then Diving Wyvern is just fabulous. But both are very good. So, light bow guns, Elemental Reload versus Reload. I think that's like a no-brainer. At this point, we just talked about Elemental doesn't seem to be hugely in people's minds right now. So I think in most cases, Reload is the more popular choice.
What does Elemental Reload even do?
It boosts elemental damage of elemental shots. But as far as I've heard, I haven't tried it myself. It doesn't seem like the buff is that significant.
I feel like anything that does elemental is unfortunately like, don't.
Yeah. Then we got the quick step evade versus the forward dodge. To
No
me, the
idea.
mobility of the light bowgun is so important that how could you give up the forward dodge? Who needs little quick steps? I mean, if you could just walk if you want to micro tweak your position. Because you're far enough away from the monster, you're at mid distance to long. You don't really need the ability to do a quick like get out of the way unless you're playing something like spread type. Then I can totally see a quick step evade being interesting to use. But it's kind of like a whatever. And then the fanning maneuver versus the fanning vault. So this is the tough one because the fanning vault lets you jump up and put the stickies on the monsters.
Yeah, I
And so
always thought the Fanning Vault would be the one for me, even though I haven't played the weapon.
yeah, so fanning maneuver is great if you're doing like spamming and it just buffs you. So like when you're doing that spam with the slicing shot, it's just fantastic. But then you're stuck with these, no traditional way to use your stickies except for putting them on the ground. And once you know that you can put them on a monster, it's really hard not to give that up. So to me, I still stick with Fanning Vault just because it's fun. But if you want to go crazy DPS, then I think Fanning Maneuver is probably the better one. But I suck at it, so I'll use it, and you're supposed to use it to evade around the monster, and I use it, and I end up like going right into the monster's face. So I'm like, okay, I just suck at this move.
That sounds like me using Blast Dash. Right at the
Yeah, but
monster's
I don't want to
face.
do that with light bowgun. So heavy bowgun has tackle versus melee attack. This is something I actually haven't touched a lot, so I don't know the differences. So I'm not gonna really talk on this. I don't know
I haven't even touched
which is better.
heavy bowgun.
I'm
So.
ne- I'm I'm not that close to a monster to use tackles and stuff, anyways. And I do love how powerful the melee attack is for KOing monsters. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments which one's better and why. I would love to know. The next one is counter charger versus counter shot.
Oh, I love
Basically, it
that
allows you
counter
to counter.
shot.
You either do a shot or you can charge up your stuff faster. I think. I mean, I like the counter shot. It works really good if you want to mount a monster, and it feels good. But
I don't know.
I
I
don't
haven't
use
used.
the yeah, I don't use the silk binds for the heavy bowgun that much, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm just too busy sitting there shooting the monsters. So
I figured with the guns, the thing that really matters is the ammo. That's the reason why I don't do guides
yeah,
for guns, is because I've never been familiar with the ammo and I don't care to. So I'm like, whatever.
yeah. Then the next one was the healing mech wyvern snipe versus the wyvern snipe, and I'll just say regular wyvern snipe is fine. I don't see the point of needing to heal if you're using the heavy
What the
bowgun.
hell is the healing mech wyvern snipe?
So you know how you have like the Gatling gun that goes bup, 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 and
Yeah.
you're shooting the monster. It adds a healing element to each shot, so you can get into full health. So it's if you're running like a peak performance build, it ensures that you're in full health as you're doing that move, which is great. But
Uh,
it does less damage, but it can heal you. Like if you're using heavy bowgun, I'm assuming healing is not your number one priority anyway. So
yeah.
give me that damage, baby. Then bow, absolute power shot versus power shot. This one, unfortunately, I think is another case where why would you use the power shot? The stamina difference between them is not that big. The absolute power shot can KO monsters. I don't
What
see a
is
point where
the
you would
what is the
not want to use it.
absolute power shot? What does it do?
Basically, it's like the when after you do a volley, like you shoot an arrow and then you press A, it does a volley. If you press A again, it does a second one, and it's a power shot. So the absolute power shot just takes um, a little bit more stamina to do, but it actually adds exhaust if you hit the face of the monster.
Oh,
And you're always hit in the face with the bow this time because the hit zones are horrible.
pretty much.
So I don't see a reason why you'd ever use power shot, to be honest. Dodge bolt versus charging sidestep. That's a really tough one because if you're a speedrunner and you're really good, dodge bolt I noticed is like really good. It's just like this little like you get like no distance at all. You just do this little sidestep, and if you can do it right before you get hit, it charges you to max level immediately. So if you're like a really advanced player and you're really close distance, dodge bolt for like spread bows would be great. But in most cases, I think charging sidestep is just too good to give up. It's just you can maneuver, you can charge. It's just great.
Yeah, I think
overall.
it'd be hard to give up charging sidestep for sure, especially if you're going to give it
Yeah.
up for something that requires you to actually get hit by a monster. You're just like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think that's a really advanced technique in my opinion. So, and then
Not,
aerial aim
and
versus focus shot, ain't nobody giving up that aerial aim.
I don't think it's just a more advanced technique. I think it also is very matchup dependent. The
That's true.
little
Yeah, I would
dodgeball.
agree with that. And also solo play versus group play for sure.
Hmm.
Solo play dodgeball would have much more better use than charge step.
But
But the next one is the aerial aim versus focus shots. Focus shots the one that throws you backwards. You could recharge some stamina.
yeah,
Aerial aim
aerial aim.
throws you in the air, and
Yep.
you could do like 3 stupidly powerful attacks,
I've heard
and you
that
can
thing
end it
is
with
broken.
a really powerful melee attack. Aerial all the way.
Yep. That I've heard is pretty
Um,
friggin' busted.
Especially when you're larger, further in the game, and you have access to stamina, buffing, skills. Focus
Yeah.
shot is not that important. Aerial aim is just crazy good.
For bows, it's still Constitution, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. But that pretty much is all the Switch skills. So hopefully you guys found that interesting, us going through them and giving our thoughts. I'd love to know if we're wrong on something. Well, not wrong, because it's all up to your playstyle. But if there's something we're missing, like something that's really good that we should check out, let us know.
Yeah, if you don't like Blast
Maybe we'll
Dash,
check
you're
it out.
wrong. It's that simple. Blast Dash is best. I find it funny that Chaos Slayer is even using Blast Dash on wide shelling, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
That tells you how good it is.
Yeah. Oh man. But that is going to be it for episode 23 of the Third Fleet podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, hit dislike button. Feedback is important. If you want to hear more from us, there are links in the description below for Gaijin's channel, Gaijin's Discord, all of that stuff. You can find us there. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong. Stay safe.
And happy switching.
What the-
Sorry, we were talking about Switch skills. That sounds so corny. Happy hunting, guys.